Hey guys, I hope you can hear me. I'm not doing like the whole setup tonight. Also, am I lagging? Because I'm on like pretty good internet. Loud and clear. Can you hear the air conditioner? No lag? I'm not like breaking up pixely. Oh, good. Okay. Thank you. How's everybody doing? This was a long time coming. There's always somebody says they can't hear me. Okay. The internet is solid. I'm down the shore, is why it's not my internet. Don't get used to this. So, you guys waited like a super long time. And I was thinking about this. The reason I pushed it out 24 hours was because I was like, I was already in a bad mood. I spoke to everybody the other night when I was already in a bad mood. Then I got even more in a bad mood and I scheduled the live and I was like, I'm going to put it out 24 hours. If I'm still in a bad mood in 24 hours, maybe this is not the best idea. But I have totally hit a breaking point. Somebody on my Twitter said that something to the effect of you can only keep shouting into the wind so many times before it just becomes exhausting. And that's honestly what it feels like. I, down the shores, New Jersey. So, and I feel like that's what I'm doing, right? I feel like I'm just like, and not just me, everybody that wants to know all of the facts. They want to make sure that they have a handle on everything. I feel like a lot of people just feel like they're trying to spread that, trying to keep everybody in line, trying to make sure that we're all like not going left and right and sideways and focus on what we actually do know so that we can keep adding things to that and not be just so overwhelmed because we have all of these things and most of them aren't true. And like I've been thinking about it and like most people, I feel like at this point, and I've been saying, you know, you guys are sweet. Um, I've been saying like at this point, I feel like nobody even knows what's true and what's not anymore, or where they heard something, or which part was rumor, what they saw on 4chan, what's in the actual documents. Um, I feel like at this point, it really is that we've just been bombarded by so much garbage that it's really hard to keep to the actual facts. And the problem with that is that it's becoming like this me versus you, like um, all out brawls, talking to people in the chat about punching them in the face. And like me personally, I'm not built for arguing on the internet, um, especially over something like this. But the anonymous chatters typing and the hateful things, like where I can't see your face, like if you're going to say things, say it to my face, I'll say it to yours, come up on the screen so I can see who you are. But like it's not even just about the people that come for me, it's about the people that come for each other. And I've seen people go way overboard and out of line over a man who has not even gone to trial yet. And yeah, exactly. It's a huge division in the community, and I've seen like a similar division, but not to this extent, and not over someone's life. Essentially, I mean, I I want to keep going. I want, but I feel like I'm over and over again, just like reiterating myself repeatedly. And like a lot of people listen, they bring me things that are real, or they bring me things and thank you. This is my beach hair. I get to take a shower outside when we're here. So like, and there's something with like the well water. It makes it kind of crazy. I already know plenty of people are going to have something to say about my hair and my eyebrows and my makeup and my eyelashes and my lipstick. It's like, but I'm glad you like it. I did nothing to it. um, you know, I just don't want to see more people arguing. And I feel like the people it's almost like the voices that are saying the things that aren't true, that are getting people so riled up, are the much bigger, louder voices. And like, I'm not going to keep screaming. It's not worth it to me. There's other people, there's other cases, there's other people that needs help. I personally liked this case in the sense that now a lot of things are coming out that are factual, like actual things, um, in court filings, right? So it's no more like speculation needed because we're actually getting the court documents. And I, yeah, Christina said you're growing. I feel like that is maybe what it is. Um, but I like that interesting facts are coming out, and I like learning, and a lot of you like learning, and I like asking questions, and I like learning about things I don't know. I like finding out the answers and explaining it to other people. That's what I like. And it just seems like I don't know if it's this like not wanting to be wrong. So whatever it is that we heard, uh, we have to say it louder than whatever you're saying because we don't want to be wrong. I mean, I don't care to be wrong, but one thing I do, uh, the level I kind of will hold you to if you try to tell me that I'm wrong is not that I think I know everything and you know nothing. And so I don't want to hear anything you have to say because if I haven't found it, it's not real. That's great if I'm wrong. Please show me exactly where. Show me a credible source. Show me in the documents where I'm wrong so I can change it, so I can stop telling people things that are wrong. But just coming at me, talking for hours about how wrong I am, and you can't show a single receipt for everything you say. It's just personally, I'm just not, it's counterproductive. It's absolutely counterproductive. Yeah, I want to learn. Show me where I'm wrong. And I feel bad for the people that do want to keep talking. It is exhausting, Pate. It's just exhausting. TB, who's that? I don't even know who that is. Though I'm not surprised. But I saw this from Truth Seeker. That's what I wanted to grab. The problem is that some people, a lot of people, Truth Seeker, a lot of people don't want to believe what's being presented in the documents. Their bias overrides the truth. So no matter what, they want to make him guilty. And that's true. And my computer's going to die. Let me plug it in. But I hope okay, I do have it. You know, there's just so many of us that want to know and want to know more. And I like surrounding myself with people that like to learn. But I feel bad. Like, for instance, I'm going to throw an example out there. you have me in a conversation. Either we're on YouTube, we're in a Twitter space, whatever. And you genuinely want to know more about this. And you're like, okay, like, where can I find that? Where do I find that? Can you read it to me again? Can you explain what that means? Have you asked a lawyer? And I do that. And then you have people on you too. That's the shit that gets to me. Like, I can take, if you guys had any idea the type of shit that I hear, that I've always heard, like, there's literally nothing that can be said to me that will surprise me or hurt my feelings. I've had people talk about my child. Um, it's not that. I'm not trying to incite wars between everybody over what's actually documented and what's not. I don't know. I hope you all understand that. Like, I know that there's a lot of people that check the Excel sheet or whatever. And I'm working on like switching everything over to OneNote. I don't know if that's going to be accessible by everybody, but I seem to be able to squeeze a lot more in like in a more organized way if I do it that way. But I hope you understand, you know, I just hope you understand. I feel like until stuff comes out, you know, I would talk tonight. I was thinking about this about tonight, and I'm like, you know, there's things in the timeline that bring me pause, make me think, things that I didn't realize before. When I read it again, I'm like, oh shit, I only just realized. Like today, I was trying to transfer everything over, and I said to a group of people, I was like, they snuck in a warrant on me. Like, this whole time I've been like, where's Bryan Kohberger's other AT&T warrant? The one they got all their information from. They're just not ever going to upload it. Well, it must have gotten unsealed because I saw it today, and I sent it to them, and I was like, good. Now we can look at this and we can try to figure out exactly how they tracked him. Like, how accurate it is. What information did they get back? You know what I mean? Which I feel like is a discussion. I do agree that people should wait for the trial in a sense. The other part about it is, for me, is learning along the way each step of the trial. I'm interested in that too. Not just what happens at the trial and what happens before. Like, I want to know about the trial. And if I can't follow the trial because every time we try to talk about something, people are like, oh, that's just a defense. They're just trying to put a whatever out there. They're using motions to, like, whatever. Like, you guys know, like, whatever. And it's like, now we can't even talk about this. And Bob Mata was like, 90% of the whole case happens in these pretrial motions. And like, we can't even fucking talk about it because it's like, God forbid you mention something. It's the prosecution is never, ever, ever twisting their words ever. But the defense is trying to put out a narrative. Like, I can't believe they mentioned the DNA. Why would the defense mention that DNA? They just wanted to put this out there to the world and tell everyone that there's no connection. Or did they talk about the DNA in response to the state mentioning the fucking DNA and how it was like a 5 point some odd trillion % match? It was a response. Or they probably would have never mentioned it unless they intended to file a motion to get it suppressed. So, like, I understand the tunnel vision. You know, I understand that For instance, I want to look at the evidence in the documents that I know. I don't want to fill in the blanks. So if it's not telling me that the murder weapon is the knife that fits that sheath, then I'm not going to say and assume that the murder weapon is the knife that fits that sheath. Because imagine what's going to happen if I find out it was a sword, a samurai sword. Then I'm going to think they were lying. When really they weren't. They never told me that. I filled in that blank. So, yeah, the pretrial is the biggest part of the whole case. I like following it along. It's not often that I get to follow a case like all the way through. And sorry, I'm just reading some of your stuff. Yeah, or more than one weapon. I mean, it's not helpful to put things out there. For instance, when the defense came back and they were like, there's no connection. And there was no DNA in his car from any of the victims. I was like, ooh, that's a lot of people were waiting on that. Like, I can't tell you how many times I heard over the course of several months, if there's nothing in his car, he didn't do it. Bottom line, if there's nothing in his car, he didn't fucking do it. And then here comes the defense. There's nothing in his car. And these people are going on forever and ever and hours every single day, still talking about how that doesn't matter. That's not what you were saying when you didn't know there wasn't any DNA in the car. You cannot let madness. Yeah, well, I mean, it feels like madness all the time. That's the problem. And what the point that I was trying to get to is that I stay the fuck away from your stuff. If you want to on and on and on and on and spend days and days talking about how guilty he is, by all means. I'm not going to come there and try to convince you otherwise. That's not my job. I don't get paid for that. I mean, I don't get paid for this at all. But I have literally no, it doesn't mean that much to me. It really doesn't mean that much to me to convince you that he didn't do it, because I don't know if he did do it. But in the next breath, if we're all here and we're talking about something, I would fully expect you to not come here. And because we're not over here talking about we're ready to like put someone in a tree, that's going to start a fight like with everybody. That's not right. So it's not even like we can have peace talking about this in a logical and reasonable manner. Because it's, if you say something like the DoorDash theory, I put the DoorDash theory out there, people automatically are like, no, he can't be the DoorDasher, because they thought that means that he's innocent. Why can't the DoorDasher be the killer? Why does it have to mean that? So you're just going to put the whole theory out there because you think that it means that he's innocent? What if you find out he is the DoorDasher? CH says they hit the wall yesterday as well. It's moving really fast. I don't know if I have any mods in here. I'm kind of just letting everybody. If there's any kind of like weird bots in here, let me know and I'll get rid of them. But, you know, it's really made me very sick. Like I'm disgusted. I'm disgusted by a lot that I see on a daily basis. It has brought out the true ugly in people. Like real ugly. I'm sorry. I don't even know how to slow the chat. I'm sorry. I am in, oh, no, I'm not in YouTube studio. I just feel like it's missing out on an opportunity to learn how this process actually works, which is something that I am interested in. If I have to do it quietly, like in the background, and just keep updating like the timesheet, then I can do that. But I'm like not gonna exchange tweets, like tweet rebuttals with jackasses on the TV, because everything I say, they have to like post a rebuttal instead of replying to me. And then I'm like, well, damn it, that is incorrect. They're putting out wrong information. Now I have to put out another tweet to correct it. Like, it's just this like ridiculous cycle where like all day we're not talking about nothing. And it's petty. And you get paid and I don't. Not from this. I get paid for my real job, which I'm usually busy doing of the day. And then I squeeze all this stuff in. So like when I'm ready to have a conversation about it, I want to have a conversation about it. I don't want people coming in like, I hope you all get it. I'm so tired of it. It made it like less interesting because I'm not trying to fight people. When I posted the notice that they were going to go for the death penalty, I don't even remember like who I was talking to in my DMs, but I was like, I posted it, and the stuff I saw in that thread, I was like, not for nothing, I'm sorry, but I was like, this sounds like a bunch of murderous bastards. People I've never seen act that way. Like, they've not heard anything yet. They haven't seen anything. We haven't had a trial. They do not know if this person is innocent or guilty at all. But they put up that thing and they're like, yep, let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it tomorrow. Like, what's even the point of having a trial at all at this point? And people are under the impression that, like, no matter what. Yeah, it is scary as fuck. I'm just saying, if you think that, sweetie, I don't want to monetize, because if I do, then I feel obligated to shift my opinion one way or the other to the people that pay me every month or every week or whatever it does. I want to be able to just say what I want to. I have nothing against people that do monetize. And you can, now I feel like I'm going to have to go into, is it really going that fast? I hate to slow the chat because my ADD cannot stand a slow chat. Makes me nuts. But if this is just laggy and you guys, I mean, if you can't even, then I will figure it out. Okay. It's slow now. Okay. Okay, good. So, okay. They were coming for him long before he was indicted. And like my whole thing is like, maybe he did do it. But for me, as an American, I need, and maybe the problem is that I have a handle on the actual quote evidence that's publicly available, and that's why I feel that I need more. Maybe I wouldn't feel like I needed more if I believed all the other weird shit that's, you know, if I believed all the other shit, maybe I also wouldn't need any more. But I don't believe it at all. I don't believe anything that I'm hearing, that I can't find myself, or it's not in the documents. So, me personally, I need more. Thank you, Pate, if I can grab this. People think it's a waste of time. They tell me that I have nothing better to do when I'm fucking busy. I have a child I take care of by myself 40 plus hours a week, and I do this stuff and keep a house and pay my bills and go grocery shopping. And I still make it a point to read over it over and over again. I can't tell you all, probably every day I do read it. And I get, if I bring it up and I'm like I'm going to say to you all tonight, there's a piece in this affidavit that I don't know if everybody realized. And the reason that I say that, who's complaining, Jenna? I want to make sure that you mean me on my channel, where I can do literally whatever I want to. This is ridiculous. I saw another channel. They said they have a witness in protection. Like, they said Enan Harsh was in witness, but like what? Maybe he is. Probably shouldn't be telling everybody. So, if you guys want, and then you all can come up and talk to me. There's a couple things that I'm going to do. It's like not ready yet, but I have been working on the OneNote. I don't know how well it's going to work, but I could put like a lot of pictures like in each page, and you could zoom in or out and it could be like super small, but if you zoom in, they're still crystal clear. So I really like it for now. It is rude. Could you imagine going like, you hear somebody like just complaining about their day and you go over and you're like, stop complaining in your own space, instead of just not listening. Stop listening. Oh, Kiki, I'm glad you. Okay, so you guys do like OneNote. I don't know like who can access it and whatnot. I imagine that I'll be able to keep updating it and it'll like automatically update. Thank you. I do these myself. I'm big with my nails, but I can put a lot in there. Oh, good. I'm glad you guys like it. I don't know much about OneNote at all, so I'm trying. And it's not ready, but I'm trying to like break things down into way smaller. I'm glad you asked, Katie, what I know. Katie said, what did you notice in the PCA? So curious. I don't know if I've mentioned this or not, but I was reading it over and over again. I'm super, wait, let me finish my thought. So I'm putting it all in OneNote. I figure I could break it down way like smaller, into way smaller sections. So there's like a timeline of warrants. There's a timeline like of the crime. There's Bryan Kohberger's timeline. There's, there'll be like sections. The photos are separated by date. So you'll have a tab that says photos, obviously, and then every single date. And you can go in and then you'll know unless I put it in unknown, but which I'll do if I don't know, which there's not that many in that one. That way you can go in and see, like, for example, where that would be super helpful is the do y'all remember the cabinet? Like, you could see through the window. There was the cabinet in the kitchen, and it looked like it had like blood running down it. And everyone was like, "Oh my god, like look at all that blood all over." And Irina, interestingly, she was like, "Wait a minute. I'm pretty sure like we have photos of it before that." And so she went in and she's like, "This is this date, this is this date. It wasn't there before and it's there now." So we could come up with like two different scenarios. Either somebody messed with the contrast, and you know what they do, or like something was sprayed, maybe, that made something visible that wasn't. I'm not sure. But we at least knew that like it wasn't that, like, those two things, either of those two situations could be really interesting. Either somebody got rid of it, cleaned it, which the killer didn't have time to do that in the time frame we're talking about, or it's garbage and somebody edited it and just don't look at their pictures no more. The one leaking out of the house, though, it's that one's real. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, good. I'm glad you guys. I'm just trying to make it more simple, especially if you're going in and the the Google sheet can be overwhelming in the sense that all the lines, and like I can get rid of that stuff on here. So okay, the PCA, what I had noticed. So I was like changing the timeline around inside OneNote. Let me get to it. We'll just do this super quick, and then there is a lot of Photoshop going on. Can't stand it. It's so bizarre. It's such weird behavior. For what? Okay, we'll start with a question. My question is, how many minutes, like, how long are you under the impression that Dylan's whole situation was happening? Like, are you under the impression that she woke up, she started hearing stuff, she started checking out the door, then went back and laid down, and a little bit more time passed, she heard something else, so she got back up and she opened the door, nothing was there, so she went back to bed and she laid back down, and then something got her up again? Like, is that the impression that you're under? That's what I thought, because I was like, she wasn't scared, that's why she didn't call 911. I think she just was like, what the fuck is that noise? Open the door. I don't see nothing. Goes and lays back down. Then she hears something again, and she's like, what the hell is that? Gets up, opens the door again. That's the impression I was under. Is that the impression you're under too? Oh, good. Everybody thought the same as me. Okay. I'm gonna pull it up. So I thought so too. And in thinking that, I was able to kind of explain away like why 911 wasn't called. Okay. What if I told you, I'm just curious before we go and read this, what if I told you that it didn't happen that way? Well, I should say it didn't happen in that large of a time span. What if I told you that each looking out the door, each time she did it, was only in a matter of 4 minutes? And what if I told you, now we think that the killings happen between 4 and 4:25, right? That's what we were told. 4 and 4:25. We know that the alleged killer was in the car still at 4:04. You have to keep in mind, though, that he made like all these weird maneuvers. So it's not like he parked the car at 4:05 and then got out. So it was several minutes. I would say like no sooner than, absolutely no sooner than 4:07, we'll say. When you read the affidavit, you're kind of like you're expecting that whatever woke Dylan up at 4 when she thought Kaylee was playing upstairs with her dog, you feel like that's part of like the crime itself, right? Because like, oh, Patty, I think the original timeline was correct, but we're just going to go off of what it is that they're trying to say. Right. Okay. So, because you're like, why would they even mention that? Like, why are they even mentioning her hearing something unless the intention was to get you to like uh, believe that someone had either gotten in, like that's the time they entered, or that's the time they started fighting, or like there has to be a reason why you're mentioning that. Whatever woke Dylan up at 4 didn't she did not get up, open the door, go see what was going on, hear something concerning enough to where she decided to go look out the door for that first 12 minutes. Dylan doesn't look out her door for the first time until 4:12. So was the 4 o'clock thing that woke her up, was that the door dasher? It is conflicting. It is conflicting. And here, I'll tell you why. This is what was bothering me. 4 to 4:12, she doesn't look out the door, right? She looks out at 4:12 because she thought Kaylee was saying there's someone here. But the police say that wasn't Kaylee, it was probably Xana. So she hears there's someone here. She opens the door. Then she closes it. Then she hears what she thinks is somebody crying from Xana's room. She opens the door again. When she has it open, she hears the male's voice say, "It's okay, I'm going to help you." She doesn't see anything, though. She just hears it. Closes the door. She opens it a third time after she heard the crying. And she sees this man clad in black walking towards her and towards the sliding glass door. The timeline that we're talking about is 4:12 to 4:17 when we hear the thump, the whimpering, or it was a thud, a whimper, possible voices, the distorted audio, right? So 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, in 5 minutes, she looked out the door 3 times. She never saw the killer in between floors. She did not see the killer walking like away from her, like towards Xana's room. The back of him, the back side of him. There's no mention of, the stairwell is directly, like, she shares a wall with the stairwell. Yeah. So what's interesting to me was realizing that in a matter of 5 minutes, she looked out the door all those times. Well, that blew my whole idea out of the water, because I'm like, that there's no time for her to have like looked, because you're thinking, if you're looking, you're like peeking open the door, like look out, and you're gonna like wait for a minute, see if you hear anything. I don't hear anything. I don't see anything. Okay, I'm gonna close the door. There's like no time to then go lay back down in your bed, get comfortable, hear something else that concerns you, then get back up. It's almost like standing on the other side of the door, opening it, closing it, opening it, and closing it. That sounds like you hear something scary. Yes, Pate. She's standing there. Yeah, exactly. Like she's standing there looking out over and over again. All other sounds are said to have like stopped at that point. Yeah, I think she stayed at the door too, Susan. Yeah, I don't think she ever left the door. So then the question is that makes more sense. You're scared. Like, obviously, whatever you heard had you scared, and you're like standing on the other side of the door. Maybe even your intention was to keep looking out the door, because whatever the fuck you were hearing, you wanted to see if you could see that person. That way, if it ever came to it, you could describe them. Right? That'd be some smart thinking. But you didn't call 911, so that can't be it. It's never like fully one way or the other. We don't know if she was intoxicated. I hope not. Exactly. Oh, shit. Who looks out a cracked door as unusual behavior unless scared or worried? Exactly. If there was no reason to be scared, you're going to fling your door open. You're going to like stand out in the hallway. You're going to like look up and down look up the stairs. Like, what's going on here? Not like stay behind a cracked door. That sounds scared. Right. Shanda. I'm assuming this is still Shanda on this account. But why didn't she call 911? It's sus. That's what I'm saying. I can come up with exactly what happened. Like I can justify her actions in the moment. You know, I can explain away why she wasn't scared. I can explain away why she would be scared, what she would be hearing, why she would continue to walk. But what I can't is if I go that way and I say, Dylan tried to, she was very scared. That's why she stayed at the door, and that's why she kept opening the door. She was trying to get an eye on somebody. But then I can't make sense of not calling 911. Like, none of them go all the way. None of them go the whole way through. Unless you were like scared to call the police. Which I don't feel like being scared to call the police and a thing like that would be even a thing, unless you were scared of the police. Linda, I'm not. Here's the thing. The prosecution didn't want to. Everybody thinks that the DoorDasher was not Bryan Kohberger, but yet the prosecution left them completely out of this, yet they were at the crime scene at the time of the crime, but they chose to leave them out. They threw Dylan into this entire discussion for basically a description that's hardly helpful or clear. They threw her under the bus. It wasn't even necessary. Yeah, I could see that yeah, if she had been threatened by this person that said, um, yeah, if the killer had an interaction with her and was like, "Don't call 911 till this time," or mm-hmm. Yeah, Sherry K. I worry. I have a feeling the detectives might have put words in her mouth. I think that could happen, um, even if it wasn't intentional. In terms of someone trying to, you got to think she was scared. She didn't know who did it, right? If that's it, she's scared. She doesn't know who did it. She just found out that basically the entire house around her was killed. Um, doesn't really realize what's going on. Figures she's probably a suspect, which, like, I hope she was. I hope that when they showed up there, they didn't automatically say, well, everybody that's here wouldn't be here if they were guilty, because that's not true. So I imagine she was interrogated. And so, yeah, it can be swaying. It can affect the things you say, especially if you become aware at some point. I'm not saying that this happened, but especially if you become aware at some point that something in particular is what they want to hear from you as a victim. Hmm. Yeah. So this is when you have Tolson doing interviews, that right there tells me those are not her words. I can bet she didn't say the word clad or frozen shock phase. I also wonder how Brett Payne did in interviewing people, because this is different. This is not the military. So, oh, 100%. What is that? Is that like the conversation that's happening? Let me tell you what. You don't know what a drug addict looks like. She said, I tell you, having gone to a rich private prep school where the tuition was more than my college tuition, you cannot tell by looking at someone who sells or does prescription drugs. Not only do you not know what they look like, but you can't say that they don't have any money, have a bunch of money, don't have a house, do have a house, don't have a job, do have a job, live in a shed somewhere. You don't know what a drug addict looks like. There is no one way that a drug addict looks. I can assure you that. I can assure you that people you trusted in different places, in different professions, were probably high as a fucking kite when they helped you. You wouldn't even know it. Okay. So, um, I mean, if you guys want to talk about the timeline, like we can, I'm going to put out that OneNote. We'll see how everybody likes it. This will probably just be, like I said, I was already extremely upset the other day. Like, not angry, like very hurt. And then it was like whatever emotion's coming next, it's coming like 50,000 times worse. What's the 5.37 octillion times? And then I got mad. My God. I feel bad for the people that are coming in. Like, I finally caught a live. I want to learn stuff. And I'm just gonna complain. I'm allowed to take a minute. I'm allowed to take a minute. I'm allowed to take, we've been here 54 minutes. I've been bitching for 54 minutes. I bless you all for listening so long. And I do want some people to come up, and if you want, we'll give it like a minute if people do want to come up. I don't think it's disrespectful to have chosen the Papa Rogers name. That might be actual Papa Rogers from Facebook. Like, we have no idea who Papa Rogers was. I know one thing. There's not a single search warrant for Bryan Kohberger's Facebook, so it's not really looking too much like he's Papa Rogers. But whatever. Yeah. So maybe this could even be like, what did that say? Take a month. I mean, I generally try to keep very open and positive and honest, and it could be that I just like need to get this out. Maybe some of you need to get it out for a minute. I don't want to throw people under the bus. I don't want to put out names. Like, I'm sure there should be a warrant for Papa Doffer. I was gonna click it. I've run out of words. I'm a majority of my whole, I'm just so disappointed, and I'm just so concerned about what that career looked like. But shit, I saw that and I didn't click it. I don't know. Willow, I don't know if you're talking about me. I'm a little on edge. There are clusterfucks going on, and it is insulting to watch. And not only is it insulting, it's scary. It should be scary to you. Um, it's scary to me. Seeing how people are thinking it's scary, it should be scary. Saying that defense attorneys like only exist to get guilty people off is like the most absurd fucking thing I have ever heard in my life. Would you want to be arrested and not have the opportunity to have a public defender? What if you didn't do something? It's a weird thing to say. Yeah, it's absolutely ridiculous. It is. It's so scary. I'm glad. Like, I feel like some people, there's like a group of people that it's these people over here, and they understand the not implications, maybe isn't the word, like the repercussions of allowing something like to keep going on like this. And I'm not trying to be controversial. I don't want to like change the whole criminal justice system. I don't, but I feel like if you're part of the problem, then like you are the problem. And I try to be part of the solution. I think knowledge helps you do that. I think it helps you be a part of the solution. I like to learn each step of the way. I by no means sit there and say that, oh, sweetie, I have looked into the Innocence Project. If you could, that is a rabbit hole you could go down forever. I was reading one of the y'all, and I keep getting sidetracked. I'm gonna drop a link for people to come talk for just a minute. We've been here an hour, just turned an hour. If nobody comes up, then we'll just go. But if you do come up, I want to be done by like, we'll keep this to an hour and a half. I want to get my rant out, and I would like some ideas. I don't know what OneNote is. I'll explain it. Once I get it a little bit more, I can show you. I mean, I could probably show you. But here's the link, I think. It won't let me pin it. Do I have to go like out to do I have to go out to YouTube to pin it? Probably. No, I'll probably never find it. Yes, I saw it too, but if I don't pin it, it'll disappear forever. It's probably gone now. Oh, good. You guys are coming up. It's weird to see myself. Ugh. Wait a minute. Damn it. Now I don't know where it is. Oh, there it is. Okay. It should be pinned now. I'm going to get the fuck out of that. Okay, who's here? Device is not connected. Listen, I can't help you. If you come up here with problems, I can't help you. Golf inspector, I'm gonna bring you up because I know who you are.
Hi there.
Hey.
Hey, I just want to let you know you're not screaming into the wind. There's a lot of us listening to you. We pay attention. So don't ever feel like that. There's a few that's gonna, try to push you back, but I wouldn't take it with like a grain of salt. So don't give up because of them. What you are doing, and then this whole OneNote thing, that's a huge undertaking none of us would do. So I applaud you for even thinking of doing it because it's not a small thing.
I want to be helpful. I don't want to continue to drag on the unhelpful, if that makes sense.
Yes, but I'm still saying we're more of us out here paying attention than not. That's just my 2 cents on this. And oh, sorry, there's a
I muted.
feedback.
No, I muted her. She keeps
Okay.
unmuting though.
Turn up turn off the volume. Yeah, and also don't even get me started on the whole timeline. Oh my gosh. We can
I
go
mean,
down that.
I feel like it's okay that it's not right. Like it, it has holes. Like, so what? That doesn't mean it can't be filled. But I'm going to keep. I want to know where the holes are so that we can then fill them in. Like, I'm not gonna. What would it say to you if all of a sudden, like, the trial comes and the entire fucking timeline is different?
It is different because the timeline that was set to begin with, which was between 3 and 4, is more reasonable to me because of all the cameras in the area that actually have footage of the said car passing by. Now, for anybody like an ex FBI agent to come and say every one of those cameras must have been on the wrong timeline, they didn't reset that no, that's just not how that works.
You
So
know,
you're
I've noticed that where the people that have no desire to listen to um, the actual information are the same ones who have to make 30 leaps to get to one tiny um, detail. And it's like, so wait a minute. You think that these 45 things happen just so that one thing that makes him guilty could have happened, as opposed to this one, like, really easy, normal, explainable situation to make it maybe not look so guilty. Like, I don't understand the leap.
mm, but that's every single thing that's the explanation is, well, they must have not done this or they must have not done that. So there is not lack of information out there. There's a lot of information out there, and I think we spoke about that before.
Yeah.
It's just that you can't just turn around and change that information to fit a narrative. That's the problem in essence, is you're trying to turn all that around. Well, they must have not done this or that. No, the facts are out there. You can't just turn those facts around.
But
And
if people are
he can
letting
still be,
you,
yeah, but he can still be guilty.
but
You
I
know,
think that's what people don't. I think that's what people don't understand is that the facts can change. It doesn't. It doesn't, like, whatever facts are real and they're found out with time might make him actually look more guilty, right? Like, again, the DoorDash driver, it blew my mind that everybody thought, which I thought it was pretty good in the sense that it could go either way. It could mean that um that's why he was there. He was the DoorDasher. He didn't kill anybody. Or it could mean, why are we bringing another individual into this situation at the time that 4 people were murdered if they didn't even tell us that that person existed? Like, really think about that. The police didn't even say an additional person existed.
mhm.
And I'm not going to argue about whether or not there is a door dasher, but to adamantly say there's absolutely no way it was him, it's like, well, if that's the case, then why didn't they just say that? Why they bring
Correct.
it up at all? They didn't need it. They didn't need to tell us that she got a DoorDash at 4 because they had Xana alive at 4:12. So what was the point of putting that person in there?
Mm. I agree with you 100%.
Let
So
me look, Robin. I'm gonna bring you up. I don't know if you want to stay on your camera.
I'm
Thumbs me
gonna
up
I'm
if you.
gonna dip out here in a second. I just want to leave one food for thought, and that's the alibi. And I was thinking about this, is the alibi not necessarily having to be a person. It could actually be that Kohberger is left-handed and the wounds are those of a right-handed person. Just want to throw that out there
As an alibi?
as an alibi.
I've thought of that, but I've never thought of it as an alibi.
Mm, just think about it. It might not be. I don't know. I'm just,
I mean,
thinking.
it
So,
definitely would be known. Like they would
mm,
definitely be able to tell. That would be
well,
super interesting.
correct. All right. I'm going to dip out. Thank you. And I hope
Thank
you keep
you.
going.
We'll see what some sleep does, maybe. Have a
See
good
ya.
night.
You too.
Bye. Robin, I'm bringing you up. This is your last chance. Here you come.
Interesting
Okay.
what she just said as an alibi. That's interesting way to look at that. But, I was thinking that your DoorDash driver thing was excellent because I had thought about that before. And it made sense because they've never met. They've tried so hard to keep that out of the public eye,
Yeah.
And so it always kind of made me wonder why. Why is it so secret this guy is or girl or whatever? But I just wanted to say, you know what? If it wasn't for you, Swifty, we wouldn't know half the shit we know. Okay, and I so appreciate you being here and being in this place to. You have a special mind that really looks at things so thoroughly and so uniquely that it's really a big help to those of us that are really trying to figure out what went on, and we appreciate you. So, and so I just want you to know that because what I try to do is I try to keep out of my mind whether he's guilty or innocent. That's not my perspective right now. What I want to know is what happened. And then I'll get to that later. You know what I mean?
Me too.
Are you there? Am I not
Yeah.
hearing you?
No, yeah, I was saying, I mean, I agree. I just want to know what happened. I want to know the truth of what happened. The actual individual is kind of, that's the last kind of thing. What's the echo?
I can't hear you. I don't know why.
Oh, maybe because we're all unmuted. I'm going to mute.
That might be me.
Oh, I do know that if you have YouTube pulled up, you have to get out of it, exit all the way out of YouTube.
Right. I can't hear what you're saying, but I just wanted to tell you that, and I can imagine how pissed off you are and hurt because I am too. Yesterday, I said to myself, I don't even want to fucking look at this case anymore because I'm so sick of these people, and it kind of represents who society is to me at this time. And I'm like, that's scary to me. It's scary to know there's so many people out there that just want to kill this guy tomorrow. I'm like, that could be me. That could be you, It's like, fuck.
Definitely.
What's wrong with you guys? So, I mean, I got really pissed off too, and I didn't want to even look at this case anymore. But then I thought about it overnight, and I'm like, you're one of the good guys, so people need you. And it's not, nobody said it would be easy. It just sucks that way. And whenever you're trying to stand up for truth and justice, it's never easy. Believe me. I mean, it's you get beat down, man. And the thing is, you just gotta get some rest and get some nutrients in your body and get some rants out and meditate a little bit and come back stronger than you were because you're awesome. I just want you to know that you're beautiful, you're awesome, and your mind is sharp as a tack. And if you weren't here, I wouldn't be even in on this case because you're like the some clarity in all the muck, So anyway, that's all I have to say. I love you. I think you're awesome. And, I appreciate everything that you do.
Thank you, Robin. I love you. I did need that. And it could be, like I said, I sat in like 3 days of bad mood and it just got worse and worse and worse. And then kind of all came to a head. And it was like, what is even the point of this? And maybe I just need to step step away, step
I
back,
hear you.
you know.
Yeah,
But I appreciate you. That was really sweet. Thank you, Robin.
right. Okay, well, girl, I love you and do what you need to do, but come back to us.
Okay.
Please,
I love you.
please. I wouldn't even know where to think if it wasn't for you.
Have a good night, and we're gonna
Okay,
wrap this up. You're the
thank you.
sweetest.
You
Thank you,
too.
Robin. Angie, go ahead. We've put you on pause like multiple times. Angie! Angie!
I know. Sorry about that.
Oh, are you watching us on the TV?
I have actually. Oh, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
You'll have to
Oh, there we go.
turn us down.
Both. I have you on my phone and on my TV.
Mute us on your
So
TV.
let me just do my phone there. But then I can't hear you. That's weird.
That is weird.
I don't know.
What the hell is going on?
Anyway, I wanted to come on and just say that I have only recently come onto your YouTube to kind of see what's been going on over here. What led me to this was your amazing Excel sheet that just has so much stuff on it and all the facts, which I love. I'm a fact finder. I'm doing this for like 5 or 6 years now, and I think what you're doing is great. There's always going to be people that hate out there, but this is the only way that we're going to be able to like have rational discussions about what's going on with this case and like what's out there and what the facts are and not the rumors and some of these TikTok creators that kind of just blurt things out just to get some views and aren't really thinking about what they're saying things, putting out there, could kind of do to the case. I like that you think about maybe we shouldn't talk about the witness protection things or, some of that stuff doesn't need to be mentioned, but there does need to be questions about what the investigators are doing and what they're not doing. And maybe they are messing up investigations. That's important for all of us to remember that they can make mistakes, and they do a lot, more than they should. And it ends up hurting innocent people.
Yeah. I feel like we think that like investigators and stuff are just like infallible, and the fact of the matter is that they're human beings, and like human beings just in general are fallible. So to put them on like this pedestal, like they can not do anything wrong or get anything wrong or be swayed in either direction for various reasons is like really unreasonable. And it's important that, like to me, that instead of just saying, let them do their job over and over again, you're not an investigator, you don't have experience, this and that. It's like, okay, but like, I'm also the ones that will have to deal with the consequences. Like, like if we just keep pretending like nothing they ever do is ever wrong. Not that I'm saying that there's like a majority, like I'm not saying that all the time,
Yep.
every single time that they're doing something that they shouldn't. But the fact is that the more eyes that are watching, the less chance there is for you or anybody to be like, well, nobody's watching, so it might be okay, if this one time, and this one time turns into this other time and this next time, and well, nobody's watching, there's literally no repercussions at all. So what's going to stop me if it's not uncomfortable? I can tell we're on a serious lag.
Exactly. Yeah, those are some really good points that people, I think, fail to think about when this kind of stuff is going on. And hopefully nobody you know, in this group and beyond, is ever in this situation and has to experience it firsthand, because it's terrifying. It really is. It's terrifying to be that person, because really investigators, you know, if everyone just emphatically believes them all the time and thinks that they can do no wrong, what does that say for the rest of us who, you know, are ever in the situation that this hopefully never happens to? I mean, where does that put our justice system, I guess?
Yeah, I agree. I feel like we're super lagged. J-Rod, are you hearing me in like real time?
Yeah, we good though. We
You
good.
are?
Hi everyone.
How are you?
Thank you for having me though. I appreciate you though. I had to come here to pay my respects to the queen.
You're the sweetest.
Nah, thank you so much for everything you're doing though. I've been following a lot. I follow you on Twitter. I've been paying attention to the timeline. Um, it's so many questions as far as like the matter of the fact. I have speak by. I'm sorry for plugging in. My brother speak by holding. I've been on the phone with him talking about this case. He from Texas, and he's been like really paying attention to it. He has not put much lately, but whatever he has put, he just basics and stuff. So just following the whole concept of keeping it unbiased, and again, under the Constitution of the United States of America, we as a humans, either or, right or wrong, we have to just, especially when we content creators, like my takes, I think are like the most unbiased, but also unfiltered. Like I don't have no problem cursing and stuff. My kids don't watch my content, by the way. Big shout out to my kids and the family. They'll be watching right now on Mama Bear's room. But my kids don't watch the content. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's like um I want to really like to congratulations for how much work you have done, and thank you for having me here today. Again, I had to give you your due flowers, because again, us as content creators, we recognize the power of the truth and keeping it unbiased, and either all right or wrong, we just analyzing the rabbit holes to then check them out and just get a theory that will make sense.
Yeah. Thank you. Verify or debunk. I feel like that's every
Right.
bit of information. You either verify it or you debunk it, and then you move on to the next one. And I do know who Speak Van Holding is. I've listened to his stuff. He's had me in stitches before. But I'm glad you came up
He
to
love
say
he
that.
love he loved your content, by the way. He loved your content. Like we in our topics. I just sent you my email that it was long overdue with all my contact info, first, last, all like areas. You'll see it on your email whenever you get to it. And my phone number, because we brainstorm a lot, and whenever you're able, if you want to like text and schedule,
Yeah.
we cool. We cool. My wife loves your work. My wife, she knows like you sharp. Like you will get them if you need to.
Thank you.
Yeah. If you
I
allow me later on before I go, if you allow me to ask you a question, but thank you. Go ahead.
no, I don't want everybody to feel like I like lost my shit because I want like compliments and stuff, because that's not at all like what I want. I don't need to be like convinced to
It's
stay or
long overdue though. Like it's long overdue for me to come here and let you know. Like we appreciate you. That's it.
I appreciate you.
I
Oh, and big
agree.
shout can I say big shout out to Squirrel Fire? I love that girl, man. The past is the past. We
Yeah.
are growing adult. We good. We good. Big shout out to Squirrel Fire. Like my love, my girl. Like we good. Like I, we good. Big shout outs to her though. Love that girl.
I'm glad.
Can
I
I
love
say
your lights.
can
What
I
is
say
it, Helen?
something? I'm
Yes, of
sorry.
course. Of course.
You
Hi,
know what?
Helen.
I've been asking on other shows or whatever, like I don't get the 8 hour delay. And if you question Dylan and Bethany Funk, they're like victims, and you get literally attacked because you just keep on questioning the 8 hour delay and how it doesn't make sense. And I'm right for you. Thank you for giving the truth. Thank you for searching for the truth and putting yourself on the line. I mean, it must be exhausting. And I'm so proud of you for sticking in there, for not giving up, for, just like, I can't even imagine how exhausting it is just to deal with people that just don't want to know, just don't want to learn, don't want to know the truth, and they just keep on their banter. Like, there's, I just want to know the truth. Like, what's wrong with that? I want my mind to be at ease, just saying, okay, they got the right guy. Okay, he's the one, and I don't want to have to question whether it's, like, I just want to know that there's justice, even though we might never get there. So anyway, just thank you.
And that it's safe. Like, I want to know that
Right.
he's the one, and like, we're like, they're safe. Like, are we safe? Like, is he the one, and are we safe? Number one. And number two, it's like, when you said about the banter, like, again, I'm not coming to you trying to force you to listen to but like, I feel like if I want to have a safe space to talk about only facts, which includes leaving out rumors, so people get all bent out of shape if you don't want to entertain that he was stalking them on Instagram. It's like, there's spaces for that. And I don't know if it's like a competition thing. If that's what it is, like, I can assure you I'm in competition with no one. Like, I let everybody use the stuff that I put out. I do not need to be the best. I don't need to be number one. I don't even, like, I want us all to have the information. I'm not up here like battling anybody. And so I don't know if it's that kind of thing. Like, we feel like we need,
Yeah. Yep.
how I said about having to be right. Like, I don't have to be right. Like, I don't have to be right. I don't have to have a million people coming to my lives. I don't need any of that. But I would like to hear all of us be talking about the actual information. That's kind of why I share it with everybody, even the ones that talk bad about me or that nobody likes. I'm like, whatever. If you want the real information, take it. You know what I mean?
Can't you block them?
Huh?
Can't you block them? Just like block them. Like,
Girl,
enough.
if I started blocking the people that were like that, we'd be blocking and blocking and blocking and blocking and blocking. It would never end.
Right.
It would never end.
And
If I
nonstop
could,
work.
It's hard on all the different platforms.
yeah, like Twitter, you really got to get me there to get me like to block you. But like, once I'm there, because I'm like, what's the point? They can still get in my threads. They're still watching from stock accounts. Like, it's just not. They'll reappear no matter what. And then if you do block them, they're like, oh, she blocked me. Like, I must have gotten to her because she knows. It's like the most fucking ridiculous thing
Yeah.
I've ever seen.
Yeah, that mute button works though.
Do you think?
The mute button does work. The
Do you
mute
think
button.
it's
I forget people exist on Twitter.
Do you think it's because people don't really question authority, or like you can't question the cops, you can't question the government, you can't question,
I think
you can't do that. We don't have freedom of speech here. You gotta toe the line. You gotta follow the rules, and it's my rules or no rules.
I think it scares people. I think the thought of like the wrong person being arrested is scary, and like, it should be. So instead of understanding that it does happen and being concerned with making sure that it doesn't happen as best as you can, instead we're like, oh, it got to be him because that's way too fucking scary. If it's not him, that means none of us are safe. You know what I mean? So I think some of it is fear. I don't think it's so much not wanting to question authority. It's that we're putting them on this pedestal. I expect them not to ever make any mistakes. And I think it keeps you blind to kind of one side of it. And it's not fair. I wouldn't want it for me. I wouldn't want it for somebody I didn't even like. You know what I mean?
But it is scary. It is, whoever did this is, I mean, however, how many, I don't know. I just want to know the truth. I just want to sleep at night and just be saying like, oh, they got the right guys, or they got the right people, and we're all safe, because God forbid that this would happen again to anybody. And my kids are about to go into college, and I'm mortified. Like, please don't say Idaho. Please don't say Idaho. Please don't say Idaho. Don't tell me you're going there. Don't tell me you're even interested. But who's to say that this couldn't happen in another college?
Right.
Yeah.
It's Go ahead. What were you gonna say?
Sorry, Sleuthi. Is this is like your last live
So
stream, like far
we're
as the
lagging a lot.
Idaho
Sorry.
4? Far as the Idaho 4, this is your last live stream on the Idaho 4?
Unless like my position right now is unless like a document comes out that needs explaining, not something stupid and simple like something got sealed, I'm gonna like step away for
I mean,
just.
I
But
mean,
I'm
I know I could find. I'm saying I know I could find you on Twitter because again, I'm like always updating your Twitter feed, and so it wouldn't be no problem. Let's say if you stop like bringing your content to YouTube, but I want to let you know. I don't know if you have seen it on my content on my live streams. I have said many times to our community, which I want to let you know, all my subscribers are your subscribers. I hope you know. Like, yeah,
believe
like the
that.
1.7K subscribers that I do have, that little bit, they all your subscribers.
That's a good thing, right? I would.
Yes, yes, it is. I mean, at the same time, they are also like some of them, like the majority are like still like pre-squad supporters and stuff like that, which I
Yeah,
appreciate. And
yeah,
it's cool like that. So it's like, it's like if we all like in the same mentality, so
Okay.
it's like why beef? Why be in disagreement? Why wilding out? They just work to resolve these cases and together put our minds together to the same course that of fixing the problems within criminal justice. Like we all have family members. I have kids. We y'all all have kids. So it's like might as well let's all work together for one cause.
yeah,
Let's just fix it all up and patch it up. Who knows if one day the YouTuber and the YouTube community end up fixing the problem. We don't know. I mean, big shout out to agree to disagree to AWP, but either or, right or wrong, if it wasn't for them, they wouldn't found Kylie Rodney.
right.
So I just wanted to say that and put it that like and that was YouTubers.
Yeah,
So we have as a community, we have the opportunity and the platform to do things right, speak things right, think things right. And our kids probably see that one day when they grow and be like, my mom, my dad was part of something bigger than them. And they just want to be part of something that is right. Because we all know how YouTube right now is with this disagreement and the majority of the negativity, if you seen, is coming from the big social media like news stations and like
Yeah.
big corporations that are forcing the narrative down on people's throat.
yeah,
So and we just sitting here like paying attention. I have speak a lot about that on my content. You have done too. A lot of content creator has stand on bias in the situation. Big shout out to Harsh Reality if you don't mind. And Southern Logic. I'm sorry for the plugs, but this is all people that I appreciate, and I know you do though.
yeah,
I'm trying to get y'all all together one day. I have tried to like behind closed doors. I've been trying to have conversations. Harsh is very busy. You busy. I'm busy. But again, I just sent the email though. We just gotta put it together. Whatever schedule is, I'm available,
yeah,
24/7. I handle my business, but as far as a family, I take care of family. After that, everything is 100% true crime. So it's like I have a good time for that. So if we could all set it up and all sit down and put whatever. It doesn't have to be Kylie Run. It doesn't have to be Idaho 4. We could just sit down for whatever topics y'all want.
yeah. I think
Something
that
that
would
y'all
be
really,
nice.
something that y'all really want to put attention. Like the Nicolay Bully is out there. Is many other cases. Summer Wells is so many cases to
I
pick.
actually might need y'all's help
Oh,
on something.
Yeah, go ahead.
we're so laggy to her. How do I
Wait.
tell if
Yeah,
someone's gonna show
but
me like
I don't want to
duplicate
talk about it on here. I'd rather talk about it privately with y'all at a different
Sluicy,
time.
Send me
Sluicy,
an
Wait.
email.
It's
hit me up.
interesting. It'll boggle your mind. Trust me.
Can I say
Hit me
one
up.
thing?
You already got my contact.
I think you should get paid for all your frustration and all your aggravation and everything that you're doing is like, oh, I think you should get paid.
I literally, everybody already says that I get paid. It's so funny. I love seeing it. I love seeing you're only doing this, you're only talking about this, and you're only saying these things because you're getting paid. And I'm like, but then
Who,
Right.
who cares? Don't
someone
hate the
actually,
haters. I mean, hate the
I just
haters. I don't know.
like I said, I feel like if I start like say doing memberships or whatever, I don't even know. Like I don't even know how it works, and I've been eligible for a minute now. But like I feel like as soon as I start doing that, I'm going to be like obligated one way or the other to kind of please the people that are paying me, whether I realize I'm doing it or not. Whereas now it's kind of like you don't have any obligation to me. You haven't paid me any money. If you don't like what I have to say, you can just go, right?
I know, but then they just unsubscribe. It's no big deal.
Yeah.
Just get paid. Just you deserve for all the hard work and all your frustration. You should get paid. You're like the number one I turn to. Like, go there because everybody turns
Right.
there. Everybody, like all the YouTubers, pick off of what you say, and then because you posted it, because you posted it on Twitter, then they say, "Oh, she's come up with it." That's how I found you. Found you because somebody else was talking about you.
Wow.
Even
So you should
big
get you should get paid. You
big
deserve to
news
get paid.
outlets. Just by the way, big news outlets has call your name Forrest as a source of true crime. Like big names of new news media I have heard before. Sleuthy Goose, the reference of your name on big media. So again, I hope I know you humble and we understand like the pedigree of the queen of true crime, but in reality, you know what I'm saying? You have all due flowers though. We could appreciate if we have more content out of you on whatever you want to talk about because he's interesting and he's also relevant. It's
And you seem to have integrity in everything you do. You just want to get at the truth. So either why not? I'm just saying.
I don't
Yep.
know. I mean, I don't have like a real good answer. Besides that, I just don't want it to be like I don't want it to be like a job where I have to please the people that pay me. You know what I mean? That's my only. I worry that
Uh,
my opinions will be stifled or someone's going to get in here and I feel like you get mixed up in that. Like next thing you know, people are going to be like, oh, we don't really want to hear cuss words in here. And then like, here I am like trying to consciously not set, I just, it gets really, I think it happens. Like,
They're saying WSU Kim is wants to talk to you.
I want to know how I make sure that these people back here aren't going to show us their dicks because I don't want this whole thing removed. I don't
And
know
it
who
has
they are.
happened though. That happened to Captain Court. Big shout out to Captain Court. That happens to him.
Like my internet will go out before I want that and this whole thing to disappear. So how do I like make these people? How do I know if they do or not? Can I like put something on the screen that only we can see them and these
Trolling.
well, can I say something?
That's not
Like,
even funny. I'm only laughing because it would have been messed up, and I just
can I
try
say-
to look
can
good
I-
here.
Can I say something? It's like you're so brilliant that you learn as you go. You're learning, so why not learn how it all works and then monetize it? Because I'm more than willing to subscribe and do whatever. Because everybody's
do that.
pulling for
You should do
everybody's pulling from you. So you're so smart. Like I'm not being weird or anything, but like all you have to do is Google a YouTube video. How do I do this? And it'll give you all the YouTube. How do you do this? And then that's how you learn.
could you imagine if you were sending super chats and the person like 30 minutes in is like, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you see my screen? Are we in it?
But
Can
it's
you-
okay. But it's
Absolutely.
okay
You could
because
start-
people are on here for
Go
a
ahead.
reason.
You could start the first YouTube syndicate of YouTubers on true crime, like true crime syndicate of YouTubers. They obey and not obey, but follow a set of principles
Yeah.
and regulate, and build a label, build or build something again that they will put together common sense within true crime because it's
Like
tough right
ethically,
now.
like ethically, like kind of you can, if you want to go on and do all of that stuff, and everybody's free to go and do all that stuff somewhere else, but kind of this here, we want to know where what we're saying is coming from, and we want to know that it's like legitimate and things like that kind of
Right.
thing. I mean, I
mean,
would appreciate that.
do you have to hire moderators so that they can moderate?
Oh,
I don't.
shit.
Yeah.
I
don't know how that works.
I don't think you have to pay. No, you don't have to pay them. I have like 2 people, but I don't know. Like, I don't know. I kind of just like Lord knows what this chat says, because
you could have me as your moderator whenever I get the trust, though. I got you.
I'll have to. So what I know, and this was a long time ago. Like I needed a link. See, Jess is one, and then Irina's one, I believe, and then Daisy, I think, is another one. But like, I don't let them know when I'm going live. Really, I don't let anybody know. Like, I don't even tweet when I'm going live.
Just so you know, I have like without exaggerating, I do have in the chat room like around 10 to 12 snipers from our community that goes to my channel. We have like 10 to 12 snipers right now. I got Robin, and I hope that I don't even want to mention to not plug him in on live right now. You know, you get mad at me and stuff. But it's like 12 snipers there.
Do they have to send me some kind of link or something?
Email me. They'll let you know. They'll let you know in the chat room. Like they'd be like, "Hey, yeah, besides the square on fire."
Yeah, but when they say that, like, what do I do? Like, because like I'm in StreamYard, I can only show, like, I can't click on anybody. Do I have to?
Oh, you just gotta open the screen like on the regular YouTube. You open the screen on the live feed, and you could do that.
So I need to be in YouTube Studio.
I need to figure out how to get y'all's information, your email or something.
If you have the ability to open a whole different screen, just go to your YouTube. You just go to your YouTube and go direct to it, and you could do it through there outside of the StreamYard.
I think you should just give it a shot
for that, and that'll help you out. But you'll be able to moderate people. You'll be able to like block people if you need to, like right away and stuff like that without the live stream.
I think you should just give it a shot. I mean, everybody's picking up your information and they're monetizing themselves. It's like, I got this from Sleuthie.
Helen, I do know that, but I also like.
Well, then go for it.
I guess I'm just glad that they're putting out real information. T, I'm gonna let you up here I don't know if you want to be on camera.
Sleuthie, WS.
How about no fear? No fear. No fear. Go for it.
I see where you're coming from, because you don't care about money. That's not your goal. Your goal isn't to put on like a show that people pay for to.
But why not? Why not?
For it. You just
I don't know. I
don't
know. I don't have a good answer other than I don't. It's like if I was painting your dresser, I'd charge you for it. But like for this, like I feel like it's information. I just want us all to have it. I don't.
Nobody works for free.
I do. I'm the dumbest.
That's why you need a team.
Well, that's too. It's not just me. Like. People send me information, like we all parse through information, like, you know, and it's always like debunk or verify. We're constantly doing this all the time. So it's not
you deserve you deserve, for all your time and all your energy, you deserve to get, you know, I don't know, why not? Why not give it a shot?
I mean, I say you.
She said, "Now you guys are stressing me back out. You guys are stressing me back out." Now I'm like, now I feel like I, for as much as I hear about it, it's almost like it would make more sense. Like I hear it all the time about how much money I make. I'm like, I never got a check yet. Where is it?
Absolutely.
If you want to monetize. If you don't. I mean, people appreciate you for who you are, and if people want to give you money, then you should let them. But that's my opinion. I popped up because I wanted to help you. If you have an overlay in your StreamYard, if you have any not a background, an overlay. So like you could throw up an overlay. Like I turned my camera on just so you would actually know it was me. But if you want, you can throw up an overlay so you can check the people in the back, in the waiting room. Throw the overlay up, have them come up. They can show you their faces or whatnot, or they can show you backstage. Like I did. Like you saw my face.
I did. and I
Right.
can.
So you can do either one. So even if it's somebody you don't know and you think they might be popping up to give you a little dick pic, then what you do is keep the overlay up until they start actually talking, and you can see that they're not going to just turn their camera on to give you a little flash of typically nothing. Most of them don't have shit to show, but they do it anyway.
So I just put this overlay.
There you
Nobody
go.
should be able to see anything, but I can't see you guys either.
But you should be able to see. You can't see us. Even in the back, even in the backstage, you can't see anything.
I can see you backstage. Yeah.
Yeah, you should be able to see everybody. So you can throw them up there, and you should be able to see everybody when they have their cameras on or off. And everybody can still hear you this way.
Okay, I just added Jason. So if Jason doesn't talk, then we just kick him out.
That's right. And
Oh,
if
don't
Jason
kick me
turns
out.
his
Can you
camera
hear me?
on,
Oh, yes,
Yeah.
I can hear you.
Hey, nice.
I'll be honest. I'll be totally honest. You were the one that I was worried about. I was
Oh,
like,
oh shit! No,
I'm
not
like-
me, not me. I'm a father of 3 and married. I'm good.
good.
you never
But
know,
thank you.
because here's the other thing: is people will take pictures from other people's profiles and use them, and so it'll be like you think you know the person.
Yeah.
And then you automatically just let them up because you trust them, and then all of a sudden it's a peen bomber, and that's just how it goes.
Yeah.
But so if you need any help with any of this kind of crap, like I can help you with any of this. I mean,
Yeah, we need to connect somehow,
yeah.
like a team.
Yeah, anything that you ever need, I got your back.
Thank
Big
you.
shout
I
out
need
to
all the
you,
help.
though.
So I'm gonna hop down. I just wanted to come up and help you so that you didn't get peen bombed.
Thank you, T. Now I know.
It's not
Now I
my
have to
fault. I'm
remember.
out.
I was gonna not let anybody
Much
up. Just 'cause
appreciated
that was
for
my biggest
everybody.
fear.
I just
All right,
want to say
I'm
one
back
more
to that.
thing.
Thank you.
Just,
Night, T.
just one more thing.
Yes.
You're stressed out anyway. Why not like make it worth your
I know,
time,
I
your
was like-
effort,
I'm
your
like- I was like-
aggravation?
Because generally,
I
I'm
just
not
think you're great. I just think you're great. Like all these content creators are going, I got the information from Sleuthy. I got them from, well, okay, where is she? Because that's where everybody's getting all their
Right.
content from.
Facts.
Anyway, I
Yeah,
just think
where
you're
Sleuth's
great.
Coming from is she does it more of like a hobby and interest rather than a means of income or
Yep.
a third wheel.
But
income.
if you're stressed out, why not be stressed out and be
Well, no,
be
I
like,
understand, but she's not looking at it that way. She's
Right,
stressed out
yeah.
no,
because
I mean, you're
she's
free to
seen
do
it
whatever you
going
want.
on.
I just want to say that I love you and I think you're great and you're sticking to the facts and you're doing detective work that the detectives are not doing. We're not getting the truth from anybody but you and TNT. Anyway, I just think you're great and I think you should make it worth your aggravation. That's all.
And I appreciate that, and I love you, and
Okay.
I think that that's my thing. Is when you say to me that people are talking about the actual facts of stuff, and they're saying I got this from Sleuthy's
Yep.
timeline, or I got this from Sleuthy's Twitter, like that makes me feel good. That's rewarding. It's when people try to do stuff like that, and they're being like mauled by like ridiculous like these animals, and they're like, Sleuthy's a fucking liar, and like that's not what the PCA says, go read it. Like that's the kind of shit that I don't like.
I know, but
They
you're
go-
getting it
they go
you're getting
crazy,
it you're getting it anyway.
True.
You're getting it anyway. And the moderators or somebody, I don't know, I get the impression, I'm not sure how it works, but the moderators or whoever's on your team or whatever will block, like not block, but like will filter the good ones and the bad ones. I don't know. I'm not sure how it works. But I just think you're amazing and that's it.
Thank you.
I agree.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with what she was saying. It'll be stressful to get it all figured out, but I mean, maybe you should make like a little team. Like, I would be more than happy to be part of your team that can take some of this stress from you. I've been doing this for about 5 years, but I don't have a YouTube channel or anything like that. It's
And here's what I'm hearing too:
different.
is everyone is stressed out about the stuff, so why not be stressed together and
Share the
alleviate the stress as exactly shared, so it's less load on one person and spread amongst a team, like she said. But I understand being frustrated. I go to therapy at least once a week, and I talk to her about this, and I ask why am I stressed out about what I'm seeing going on and how stupid people are to the facts, or not having critical thinking. And so, but that, I think that just shows a high IQ, is that we're able to see beyond, what is being told to us, because we're not just the obedient children at school that, do as we're told and, all this, I'm sure we weren't the best of kids as far as following rules, but that's what makes us special. It's because we knew that the rules didn't do anything or mean anything. It was put there, to keep us in line, to make it easier for the teachers or whoever it may be, and that's why I think people don't question authority as well as, either, even though that's, what America's Constitution is all about, is always questioning authority and always questioning things and, getting a direct answer. And, it's not going to be the answer that you're looking for or want, but it's going to be, the answer that you're going to get because, you wouldn't have gotten one if you didn't ask. And that's the thing, is critical thinkers ask questions because there's always questions to be asked.
Critical thinking is a skill that I'm not sure can be taught even, it feels like, anymore. Something you're born with or not. I feel like it's a superpower anymore. And I'm prior military, prior law enforcement, and have family in those fields. So I'm not like against any kind of authority or things like that. I just know how things go and how easy it is for people in those positions to mess up, and for the public not to know about it and to only hear what we can, because some people don't know how to look up public records and get all those warrants and all those awesome court docs that we all get to look at. A lot of people don't know how to do that, and so they just go by what's on the news and things like that. Sleuthy, I think you do an excellent job at that, of making sure that everyone's updated with that. That's the kind of stuff that I like to do as well. FOIA reports or FOIA requests, public records, like all kinds of stuff like that. And those are the things that people need, instead of just listening to the, chatter and rumors and this and that. That stuff's important. And like I said, having a team of people to separate different tasks, to have mods, to have someone that handles this and this and this. I mean, I'd be more than happy to help you build that. And I'm sure J-Rod wouldn't mind it too. It sounds like.
Yeah, no, we down. We down. Give me 1 second, Sluti. Let me take care of the little baby.
Oh, I was gonna say, what is that, poor baby?
Screaming kid.
So yeah, and I like one of the things, for example, that I hear is like, we'll be talking about this and we'll be questioning things like we do, and we should be able to, and we'll get something to the effect of, well, the defense is feeding you a narrative. That's what they're supposed to do. But like, probably nothing they're saying is true. And I'm thinking, if you think that just simply because the defense said it is why I'm questioning this, like, I've been questioning it. I was questioning it when before there was even a defense coming forward and saying anything. So it's kind of like bizarre, and it's like excuse making. And I just feel like there should be a spot. This could be the spot where at least we're able to talk about it. I'm seeing like all capitals. My eyes are like going to it now. I know. But and also,
sorry for that. Sorry.
Did you get the dog out that fast?
No. It was the baby. The baby needed the bubba. I'm doing daddy duty right now. Sorry.
You're fine. I get it. If mine walks in, I'm just ending the whole stream. So
by the way, Sluti, sorry to interrupt. We have Speak by Holding straight from Texas right now on the phone.
Is he on the phone?
Yeah, he's on the phone right now. Let me get the baby again to make sure that she's okay. Can you Speak by Holding? Can you hear her?
Yes, I can hear you.
Can you hear him? All right, let me get to the baby real quick, and I'll get right back to you. Sorry for that, Mom. Sorry, but I just wanted to make sure.
I'm a mom. I want to go pick him or her up.
Thank you. I'll be back.
I'm like, and just one more thing, and one more thing. I just want to know what happened to the 8 hours. Like, it hurts my brain 8 hours, you let somebody literally die and bleed to death. Like, it just doesn't make sense to me. And I think that that's why I'm looking for the truth. Like, it just, the 8 hours, it just doesn't make sense to me, and it
There's a
hurts
lot
my,
of things.
I mean, 8 hours. Like, what happened? What happened with those 8 hours? Did they just bleed to death? What?
I don't.
I don't get it.
I told you, I can make it fit kind of like one way to explain that, but then I can't make it make sense why 911 wasn't called if I fit it the other way. So if I'm looking at the timeline that we're given, this is why I say, like, if anybody threw Dylan under the bus, it was the police putting that in there the way that they did, because after you've reviewed it like multiple times and you're looking at the whole timeline, you're like, wait a minute. Where at first I was like, well, she wasn't really scared. So obviously she wasn't going to call 911 because she thought he was just somebody walking through the door. Like, no big deal, went back to bed. But then when you're looking and you realize that this all happens in a matter of like 4 or 5 minutes, and that she had to have been standing at her bedroom door, constantly looking out, then I'm like, okay, what were you scared about? Now, if I find out that the whole reason that it said, that she was originally upstairs, if I find out that she went downstairs after she heard all of that stuff, then I'm going to have some more questions. And I think that's like, okay. Someone said to me, I found this really interesting. Someone said to me, and I'm curious what you guys think. They said that everybody, most people would be reacting differently to this entire situation had the 2 surviving roommates been replaced with maybe like 2 of the victim's boyfriends.
Right.
Or 2 male roommates. Would it have been different? And me personally, I was like, if I'm being honest with this, if I'm going to answer this honestly, I feel like I could say that I do see a lot of that, and probably it would be different. It probably would be, you'd be more suspicious.
Yeah, you would.
I'm suspicious now. You know, it does. Please make it make sense. You know, I don't know. I just think that as spiritual beings, like when we're in a car accident, when something happens, we know in our heart of hearts something's up. And I just can't believe, like, I've been in car accidents. I've been worked at a grocery store, had the gun pointed to my head while we were being robbed. And, you know, I've been through some stuff, but I know that instinctually I would protect human life.
Yeah.
Like, even if I were on drugs, like even if I were drunk, even if like there's something spiritual about us that knows like right from wrong.
I was thinking
I'm just
about,
saying.
do you remember when Steve said, or maybe it was either Steve or Christy that were saying that Kaylee would get like these weird, like occasionally she would get these like weird kind of feelings, and like she knew to call them and say, like, I'm walking home, like stay on the phone with me just till I get there, just in case like somebody's following me, kind of thing, right? So if you were here and you say that this has never happened to you, I'm calling you a liar. Have you not like been laying in your bed at night and you hear a couple things and you're like, oh, it's probably, you know, and then like you hear another thing and then you're like, chill out, turn the TV on. I've literally like jumped out of my bed, like shined my flashlight on my phone because I've been like convinced that someone was in my bed.
100%. I've gotten up and like looked right into the living room because I heard someone, you know, walking out there, I swear. And I'm ready to confront them, but it's nothing. And I'm like, I swear to God, I heard it, you know?
Absolutely. So I do wonder, I feel like you're what?
I'm sorry, Shruti. No, I just let me know whenever I could.
Yeah, go ahead. Have you ever felt like that?
You see, I wanted to say, if you allow me now that we have speak 100, you're on the phone. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
All right, buddy. Hey, one thing, Shruti, can we talk? If you allow me to talk about Forrest as like the probable cause for Bryan Kohberger arrest in Pennsylvania, if you could elaborate a little bit far as those details, like what was the probable cause that they indeed presented to the court to get a arrest warrant? Like what they alleged they was.
So there's kind of two different things. So by the time Pennsylvania knew like what was going on with him, he had an active arrest warrant in Idaho. So essentially when Pennsylvania arrested him, they arrested him because he was considered a fugitive from justice. Okay. What they submitted then was an additional probable cause affidavit, and this one was also written by Payne. Interestingly enough, it left out the whole DNA taken from the trash kind of thing, left it out entirely. But everything in the Payne PCA from Idaho, so the phone pings, the car on camera, I'm trying to think if there was anything additional. If anything, that one had less stuff. Like I said, it didn't include the trash or the dad's DNA comparison.
I think they basically just profiled him and came up with someone that kind of fit the profile that the FBI or, they came up with of someone that may have looked socially awkward or been socially awkward, maybe of high intelligence, and, so happened to have the vehicle that they thought they had a description of on the video or surveillance. And so
it seems that they were under the assumption that he could be the guy without no kind of because all this information that we got is like low tech kind of information that is kind of like it could be if it would have, but at the end of the day, it's kind of like beatable. For what I could see, I could correct me if I'm wrong, Sluti. If I'm wrong in my take, please elaborate. But also, when they mentioned the DNA on the sheath, they said that they confirmed the DNA, like you said, from the dad, right? That it was like a 100% hit to the dad, and then due to that didn't make sense. They had to do the genealogy and stuff to then get to Kohberger because it was not making sense. That's my take, because it's like you didn't not just had nothing solid to cross interstate to go and get someone that you said that is on the run and running away from charges, but what did you utilize for you to go to court and actually have something meats and potatoes that they would give the gravy and the sauce to say like, go and get him. We need this guy ASAP. Like that's yesterday. We need this guy. We're dragging him here. Like what you had for you to. So then I heard the DNA got confirmed after the arrest.
Right. Yeah. The DNA came after.
So you didn't use that.
You did not know whose DNA was on the sheath.
Right.
Until then. So and then that got thrown. That got not thrown away, but they got exempt from the evidence pool, but they didn't want to give it to the defense, and then they said that this is not going to be used in trial. Don't worry about this, and yada yada yada. Don't worry about how we got to that. That's nothing. Giglio had to be reported because he's an officer involved.
Well, if you saw how they,
you know what I mean? He's, correct me if I'm off.
The affidavit, I think what's so confusing, I think why we're all kind of like, but what did you have? Is because what was in that probable cause affidavit, that is what they had. So it could just be that you're just, that's all they had and that was okay. But probable cause is it's such a low, I could come up with probable
the lowest
cause.
hanging fruit.
It's basically like, I have to be super suspicious. Now, again, if you're going to talk about the details and the facts and the evidence that was in these affidavits, you have to remember that they went to judges in 3 different states, okay? And you had one.
Well, and one judge, they went over the phone and they just signed his name for him, and he had no evidence in front of it to go over, review, or see if, it was just word of mouth, and I'm going to accept, that you know what you're doing and that you're truthful.
That happens every day.
Yeah, I know. And that's what's scary. That's why me and Snoopy are stressing over here. And we're wondering why so many other people aren't, is because they're doing this openly in front of our eyes and being caught and called out, and no one is holding them accountable, and they're just showing that they can get away with it, and like we're doing everything to like prove that something shady is going on or stuff just not adding up, and yet still things are proceeding. Nothing's being halted or reinvestigated. No other internal investigations. Nothing is. Even if they are internal investigation, again, that's like police
Well, I don't
looking
think we
into themselves
know.
and finding themselves innocent, of wrongdoing. And it's just kind of ridiculous that more people aren't at arms, that these people aren't being held to a higher standard, because you know I, if the shoe was on the other foot, they'd be off scot free, and it would be everything handed over them that prove that they're innocent, and bent over backwards. But yet, there's multiple requests. There's stuff that they're saying they're still trying to get together, though that they would have had to have all this information in order to build their case against it. So why are they still now trying to put it together when the defense has requested it on the fourth request? And things are just being played out. And it's not like we haven't seen this before, such as like the OJ Simpson trial, but we were younger and maybe we weren't so interested in what was going on. But it's caught us at a time where it's another big event, and we actually have the capabilities of talking amongst each other, getting different views, getting information. And so technology has gone forth and allowed us to hopefully start thinking more critically and seeing the truth that's in front of us, that we refuse to believe or didn't have evidence in. And here we are with the evidence, and still um, nothing's being done. And so it's that's the stress, at least I'm coming from. And I might be just talking for Sleuthy, but I feel as though I understand where she's coming from. And so, but yeah, that's like, it's just crazy that they can get away with this, and it happens every day. You know what I mean? This is just a high profile case with many eyes on it. Think about all the under profile stuff, and this is why things do need to be changed, and it starts with the voters. And that's why I think it's important to have public discussions, because even if there's haters, there's still a minimal chance that out of those haters you could change them, get on your side, and actually critically think about stuff. And then maybe certain evidence or certain way you bring up things or talk about something will click with certain people. Not everyone. That's like going to school. In public schools, they paint everybody with the same brush. Not everybody learns the same or does the same. So um you know I think you'll reach, just don't stop is what I'm saying. Like, you'll reach people. You're gonna have haters no matter what you do. Even you know you could be the most factual and saint out there, and people will still rip you apart because they're narrow-minded and low IQ'd and can't see past what is already painted in their mind. Their ideas are already made up, and they're hard set on it. So those people, unfortunately, you won't be able to reach, but hopefully you can change the minds of others.
Yeah, I agree with you. And White Boy, we don't do that. Unless you want to come up here and you want to like grace us with your presence up here and give us like a spiel that's not dumb and is going to blow all of our socks off, then don't criticize people that are up here actually speaking their opinions. That's like, it's petty and it's nasty.
By the way, Snoopy,
And
I
it's
want
all
I want to
freestyle
say
too,
I want
so.
to say I'm about to step out to like take care of the
We all are.
baby and handle things at home. I appreciate you for having me, and big shout out to all the moderators in the chat and everyone in the panel. I just like gonna step back to take care of the baby, and then I could I already give you my contact number and stuff. Let's put something together. I got Speak One Holding on the phone. Speak One Holding, you want to say hi before we take off?
Yes, it's good to meet y'all and hello.
You too.
Sure.
I'll check my email. I'll check my email, and there's some things I too want to say about that, about like the probable cause and stuff. But I'll send you an email back.
No, yeah, that'll be great, because if we could just come live or something in your channel, my channel, I'm gonna be live later on tonight. So if you
Where can
wanna
I get
pass
your
by
email?
and talk, it'll be great though.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Lucy, you're the queen, though.
Stop
I
it.
mean it.
Seeing you, J-Rod.
Guys, have a good day. I appreciate y'all.
Bye.
Thank
Bye
you.
bye.
Right.
So Sleuthy, there's another YouTuber that I watched like last night or the night before,
Mhm.
and I don't know if it's Jay, whatever, Jules, and they did like the guy that called before they identified Kohberger. They did Kohberger in the when he got pulled over for the red light that he supposedly got off. And then they did the guy that they went back and they did the guy that was supposedly had information when nobody else had information. And I literally, the voice is the same. I got goosebumps. I couldn't sleep. I was creeped out.
You thought it was
So
Bryan's voice?
yeah, it sounded the same as when he got pulled over. Same voice, same. Remember, there was a guy that like is
There
like
was one
he
that
had
called
it.
Rev show, like before he was arrested. Is that
No,
I haven't
it's the
heard that.
guy. It's the guy that like had information about.
Josco?
I don't know. I don't remember.
He was on TikTok, and I thought for sure
No,
he was.
it's a YouTuber. He was on YouTube. He was on YouTube, and
Oh, was
he
it
had
the
say
drunk monkey one or something?
no. He's like I have information about the guy that they said that he was really strong. They said he was really strong and that he did something to their lungs and that he was really strong. He was kind of like hiding himself.
Oh,
I don't.
okay. Yeah, what was
And
that guy's name?
if you listen to that and then you listen to the when he got pulled over, it's like the voices are the same. I was so creeped out I couldn't sleep. I was like, I need to listen to something else more positive. Anyway,
Yeah,
I'm just throwing it out there.
I. Now that you got me thinking about Josco, I'm just saying. I mean, I was like zooming in. I I I get it. He's probably not Bryan Kohberger, but I had zoomed in long ago, and I was like, look at this watch. Look at this watch. There was a watch.
Right.
You would see this watch,
Right.
and I'm going, interesting watch there. Well, then Bryan Kohberger is in that where he's doing like push-ups at school when he was in like the army training program or whatever.
Yeah.
Look at the watch. And he put the two watches side by side. And I know, like, but it's just really strange. It's really strange that, and we don't know the whole everything. Like, for instance, the thing he was doing in Reddit. Like, he wasn't just doing that. Like he wasn't getting DMs. Like, people weren't calling his phone. Like, that stuff was going through to sales. Like,
But supposedly, right? That's why I love that you do the timeline, because was that done before he was arrested or after he was arrested?
It was the are you talking about the survey?
I'm talking about all the people hiding behind the background, saying stuff, saying that they're, impersonating Kohberger
I'll tell you what.
before or after he was arrested.
I don't know, but I've come to figure out that like people do that like on purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know why, but people.
It's a mental illness. They just feel like they get some rise out of it, or they get attention
weird
that they would otherwise not get, and so they just jump onto it because it's something that garners attention for.
But I think it's really sad because we're not getting it. Whoever's doing whoever's doing it, it's like if you were in that person's shoes, then you could be.
They don't have the same empathy.
The shooting squad. I mean, you could be put to death. So put yourself in that person's shoes and just say
someone's brother, someone's son. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
You just kind of have to remember, like, I think that's why it's important to just kind of go. I'll tell you what. Before I realized that the news was garbage for the most part.
Right.
I did not realize that there was people like on YouTube that were putting out videos of supposed audio of 4 people's children's murder. And so when I found out that was kind of a thing that was actually happening in real life, like the people were willing to do that, even if it was legitimate, which it's not, but even if it had been legitimate, whatever that audio that came out long ago, what on earth would make a person think that maybe I should like put this out on YouTube and like I would never, you would be okay with like someone's parent, like as a parent, you would be okay having them come across this
sociopath, psychopath.
It's disgusting. You know? I didn't think people actually did that, but they do. And they will. I've learned that people will have people call and say things on shows that's not real, like to get people talking about stuff. Like that's why I try to stay very, I really don't fuck around with 4chan, but if something,
I don't do social media.
Yeah. If something pops up though, I'm like, wait a minute. This just came up in the court filing. Did we see this somewhere? And sometimes we can link it back to different things people said, but it's never full on. Like for instance, and I've said this before. So we found out that this whole genealogy tree or whatever was built. And I was like, so we had the whole weekend of the 12th, December the 12th, that they were doing these re-interviews, right? So we don't know who that means, but it was people they had already interviewed. And they made this statement about how sometimes with new evidence, they remember things that they didn't really remember before. Okay. Then like 2 days later, Brent Kopaka loses it. And then a whole 8+ hours later, when no one's in the apartment anymore, he's shot and killed. And I'm like, that's so odd. And it was like December the 12th. So do you remember that? I told you, I hate 4chan. I hate it. But do you remember when that comment was made on 4chan about the killer being in shithole Pennsylvania, hiding in like the mountains, hiding in the Poconos? Do you remember that?
Right.
I'm in Pennsylvania.
Well,
I'm about 40 minutes, by the way, from where he was arrested and all that.
Someone brought that up. Someone had said, how would you ever possibly have guessed? How could you ever possibly have guessed that the killer was in the Poconos in Pennsylvania?
Yeah.
Law enforcement. Law enforcement.
Well, law enforcement, or, and this is what I was kind of thinking was, did somebody in these re-interviews give up this person's name? Well, let's say that there's an instance where this person can't testify. Maybe they're protected in some way, or maybe
that makes so much sense.
Yeah, or maybe they're no longer here and the police are like, fuck, like they just told us like all this shit and we can't even use it. So like, how are we going to come up? So what do? We're going to go build a tree because we won't have to show that in discovery, right? So let's build the tree. We'll say that's how we got to him. It's just a tip, so we don't have to show our work. And then
I keep forgetting about that.
Then you have an explanation.
When they get a tip, they don't have to. They can just say it's a tip.
Oh, it's anonymous tip.
Right. They don't have to build. Right. Like they can get a brown envelope on their door when they wake up in the morning, and they don't have to say where it came from, who gave it to them, how they got it. So, I don't know. Just appeared.
Maybe they just don't want to disclose it. Maybe they just don't want to show the defense.
Well,
here are all my cards. Here are all my cards. Here's how we got to him.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they have to. I mean, if they don't want to tell the public, that's one thing. But they
in discovery.
Yeah, like why would you not want them to know? Like, this is not meant to be like how I win is I trick you. That's not how it should be. It should be, here's all the information we have. Now you can make a logical decision about whether or not you want to admit your guilt and make a plea, right? Or let's go to trial. We'll talk about the facts and see what a jury says.
Right. Yep.
Exactly.
That's exactly.
I mean, the way it's being presented and shown to the American people is we don't have to prove that you're guilty, but you have to prove that you're innocent. Right?
It's ridiculous.
And you're like, hold on, what? And it's like, yeah, we don't have to even prove that you're guilty or anything, but you have to prove that you're innocent. All your ducks have to line up, and touch DNA. People aren't privy to how important that is, because it can be you shed millions of it, daily, and
Well, even them being in the
it's
house and touching something that he may have touched, and then going to that sheath and picking it up,
Yep.
it could be transferred that way.
well, they
The
didn't find it the
DNA,
first time, right? They didn't find
right?
it the first time, so they could have put
I
on gloves and handled Bryan, took the gloves off, went back to the crime scene or wherever, put the glove back on,
Yeah.
even though they took it off, because it's inside out. You just put it right side in, because then any fingerprints would still be on the inside of the glove and not on the outside. And then handle that sheath, and then planting it, and then you get just the minuscule pieces that they found. You know
That's
what I
all they
mean?
need.
So, like,
Yeah.
exactly. So, and it's not going to have any DNA from whoever planted it if they did it correctly and,
Right.
meticulously. It's sickening that, that they're doing this, and it's crazy that we're allowing
if that's the way we're gonna go, if we're gonna say you have to prove to me that you didn't do something, which is really hard, prove to me that that doesn't exist. It's like, how the fuck am I supposed to prove to you that something doesn't exist? But like, if that's how we're gonna go, is like, prove to me that you didn't do it. It's like, well, then it literally doesn't matter what evidence the state puts out. It's like, it's going to be good enough, whatever it is. And if that's the case, and that's what we're doing, I'm just saying, some people have the mindset that like, it's different as long as it's not happening to me. It's always different when it's happening to you, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, but the more it keeps happening, the more it keeps happening, the more it keeps happening, you keep letting it happen, the odds of it happening to you grow and grow and grow.
Mm-hmm.
I just think that they want him to take a plea bargain. But at this point,
they're not showing him the evidence to make him want to do that.
Right. They're not in the discovery phase. They need to be showing what they have to the defense.
But
or
at
they
this
can be held in
point,
contempt.
he's got nothing to lose. Like, he's got nothing to lose.
I guess
right?
if you're talking about like, are you talking about like plea because I don't want the death penalty? I feel like
no, the defense you read the paperwork for the defense, and then the prosecution came back and said, oh, we're just going to put the death penalty on you. So I think it was a tactic to intimidate him to back down, to not want to get justice.
I mean,
so no, but I think he's got nothing to lose. He's got nothing to lose.
To go forward.
But if he's innocent, though, he's not going to take an innocent person will not take any kind of plea deal.
Oh no, yes they will.
That's not true. That's not true. That's not true. A lot of times you're just so exhausted. You're so exhausted.
No, you're right.
You're like, oh, please make this go away. I'll just sit in my 4-cell. I'll just sit here and be in the cell and whatever. You're exhausted with it.
That happens 100%. They'll bring you a lot of
evidence. Withdrawals too.
Yeah, look at all this evidence. Look at all this evidence. Look at all, you'll really be much better off if you just show some remorse and you admit to it. That happens way more often than people want to think that it does.
Yeah, they'll go up to someone that's having a withdrawal and be like, hey, once we go over this and get everything, we'll get you to a medical, and just pound them, and then they'll be like, okay, yeah, I'll just sign it, a confession because I need my medicine, so I don't feel this withdrawal because it's going through hell. You know what I mean? And so,
I don't want to hurt my family anymore. I don't want to hurt my family anymore. I don't want to put them through the torture of being hunted and stalked by people that think that I'm guilty. So I'm just going to go with it.
Yeah, there's many, and they're used to doing that. Like they're used to people pleading. They're not used to going to trial like all this. Like it's not something that happens every time someone's arrested.
Well, not every day you have Ann Taylor, you know what I mean, who's willing to
badass.
Really believe and be like, hey, I'm going to really go up the bat because I don't think she's just going up the bat because it's her job. Not only that, but I truly think she believes that he's innocent and that there's some fishy shit going on in the background, and she wants to expose it because and they have every right to hide it because not just whoever is implicated in the messiness is going to roll, but those who also signed off on the mess. So judges, so you know what I mean? Like that's it all shit goes downhill. So they have every incentive to do dirty tactics, withhold shit, and not give them proper defense.
She's done this before,
evidence.
and it's not easy. Like like actually proving your case about tunnel vision, things like that, that's not easy. And quite frankly, courts don't like that accusation. So she has knowledge of other things that we don't even know about, right? That she might have seen a connection somewhere in some way. For instance, until she opened her mouth at that trial, or at that hearing, I thought nothing of Gary Tolson.
Yeah.
But as soon as she did, it all clicked in my head that like Mabbitt, and then I'm like, wait a minute, Mabbitt, why did you lie? And you didn't tell me that like Gunnarsson was there. So I think that she's, I can't imagine. It's not like they're going to offer him second-degree murder. Right. And he's going to be like, fuck it. Yeah, let's do it. Cause now I'll actually get out like while I'm alive at some point. Right. If it's between like, if you're innocent and it's between life in prison and death, it's like, I could totally see someone being in a position of hopelessness and being like, well, I just want to die. So like, like, you know, I'll just try, you know?
I have a question. Okay, so for everybody on the panel, as of right now, knowing what you know, if you were on the jury and they said that they waited 8 hours before they called for help, would you not be suspicious? Would you be guilty or not guilty? Would you be like, why doesn't this sound right? They waited 8 hours to call for help.
Well, I think anybody would say, well, that's really odd. Like, but why? But the fact is that that's going to be filled in with evidence to show that that's like irrelevant. Because if Bryan Kohberger hadn't have done this in the first place, there was no need to call 911.
But also I'm not really sure. I mean, I think it's odd too that they waited so long to call 911. Yeah. But I think that they were asleep. I think that they were like
not Dylan. She opened her door and she saw bushy eyebrows.
But I don't think she knew what happened. I don't know. Like I don't know. I don't think she knew the extent of what happened. Maybe I think they all knew that there was.
I'm not being. I hope I'm not being rude, but I just want to say, come on, wooden floors.
Jason,
there's people fighting for their lives.
I mean, I was thinking the same as you, Angie, until it clicked in my head when I was reading that about how many times in how many minutes she looked out that door. And then it kind of like flew out the window for me in terms of she thought it was a party or whatever. But that house was so echoey. And
so you think she was looking out, like thinking like, is it over yet? Is it over yet? Can I come out type thing?
That's what it sounded like. Like, that's what I mean. I'm trying to give the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, it's a setup. I think they knew what was going to happen. That's why the door was locked, you know, so they didn't get mistaken for the targets or whatever. And that's why it was so long, you know, for police to be called, is because they needed to get stuff straightened. Maybe they had to go over alibis. Maybe there was some paraphernalia they needed to get out of the house or cleaned up, you know. There's a number of things that just you could put in there and question that just don't add up.
8 hours. You let these people you let them just bleed to death.
I don't know if
you just completely left them.
Like aware and alert of what was going on when they were being attacked.
Bethany might not have even been there. To be totally honest, like Bethany might not have even been there. I've tried to figure out what this.
I've never heard anything about her. It's all been Dylan Mortensen.
What about the fact that she's afraid she might get arrested if she crosses the state line?
Maybe she was told that.
No, I think that was just that was a subpoena that went out. It's part of their I don't want to use the word boilerplate, but like when they fill it out, that's one of the things is they need to guarantee you that if you come here and you testify, we're not going to arrest you. Like, it's not us trying to trick you into coming here so we can arrest you. We actually need you to come and testify. But I don't know that she was there. And I have tried to figure out, like, when I lay out my possibilities of what this fucking exculpatory evidence could be that we keep hearing about over and over and over again, I'm like, again, we don't know what kind of, I mean, Anne kind of blew the lid on that one, but I was like, But then again, maybe she didn't, because they said that she had no connection. He has no connection to the victims. That's what she said. I don't know if that includes the surviving roommates, but
yeah, I took that under umbrellas. No connection to anybody there. There was no
yeah,
DNA found anywhere on him, his belongings or vehicle. And if I, if you don't find any DNA on his vehicle, that to me says he's innocent. And the reason why is because from the photos from the outside, and just from the details that you hear, how messy it was, and how you would have basically have smelt it, walked through it in the air, that no one would get away. I don't care if he got butt ass naked, in the process of undressing or changing or whatever, you're going to get somewhere, and you're going to
unchanging. Yeah, for sure.
Oh, 100%. But like, you're still going to have trails of that, either on the bag, on your hand, somewhere, in the process of transferring that from off of you into another container. You know what I mean? And there's just so many possibilities of you leaving trace amounts behind. And if they found nothing, that to me means that, and there was no probable way of him cleaning it. They can't say that he's cleaned it to the effect of like bleach or any other agents that would hide DNA or destroy it.
So then it goes like, if not him, then who? And then
exactly.
who? And then who? And then what? Are we not going to find out for 7 years? In the meantime, somebody's in Africa, somebody's somewhere else doing it again.
That's not.
I have theories, but they're all theories.
Yeah, that's not our responsibility.
Yeah, that's their job.
Yeah.
They need to. That's what they get paid for. That's why they have detectives. That's why they have.
What if they don't want to? What if they don't want to?
Exactly. That's exactly what one of my things is.
Then there's no justice.
Wait, one at a time, because my ADD doesn't work.
Anyway, just so if they don't want to, because they don't want to be exposed, then there's no justice, and we'll never know.
But we allow that. Like, things get how they get because we allow that.
The state of Idaho, their residents probably don't want to hear it anymore. They allow it. I mean, I don't know.
Well, I mean everyone as a whole. The more that we say they're right, we don't know. And again, by this I don't mean that we should be like, we have to find out who actually did it, because again, that is not our job. But we do, in a sense, have like a responsibility to be making sure, like, there's a reason that this stuff is like,
you can't put an innocent man to death, to prison. That's not fair. You got to put yourself in their shoes, or someone that you love dearly.
There's two or three male DNA unidentified or whatever.
Exactly.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean,
so,
and they refuse to do the genealogy tree on that. And
did they?
That we know of.
No, if you didn't build a tree to figure out who that DNA belonged to, and again, I don't care where it was found. People are saying, well, if it was found like on a coffee pot, like I'm like, wait a minute, no, listen, they took 113 pieces of physical evidence out of that house. Okay. So they're very particular about where the evidence they're getting is coming from. They start at the bodies and they move their way out. So I do not think that a random swab was taken from the downstairs handle to the washing machine. Like, it would have been relatively close. And truth be told, as far as no DNA being found in his car, if there were evidence of cleanup, which I 100% believe Ann Taylor would be aware about, because they've been given direct access to the car. That's per the state. They've been given direct access to the car. They've been given direct access to all of the evidence seized from all of the properties for their forensics people to go over. So even if they didn't say to the defense, we found like evidence of cleaning products inside the car, what's that about? Their investigators, the defense's investigators, would know that there was cleaning product used. So, and again, Jay Logston is the one that wrote that objection. It was not Ann. Jay Logston would have to be the dumbest mother effer to have brought that up at all, knowing there was evidence of cleanup. Why would you even? I would hope you forgot about it.
That would career suicide. Yeah.
So, and I want to, Great Dane mom, she said this, and I immediately, like, it popped into my head, like, Mabbitt's my favorite person to talk about. Let's talk about what the coroner said. She said, did no one not hear the coroner? She said there was no saving them. The injuries were non-sustainable. While I feel like that came from a very good place, the coroner said a lot of stuff. And I think the coroner got her ass in trouble, and that's why she disappeared off the face of the earth. I think if they found out she answered my emails, she'd probably be in trouble. Because the coroner sat there with a news station on the 15th of November before the autopsies were even started. They hadn't even been started. And she told these people that she had determined her official, they said, what is your official ruling? And she said that it was going to be a homicide by stabbing. She did not know that. There was no way to know that because the autopsies hadn't even been started yet. And so she said that. I personally, if I'm thinking of why the fuck she would say that, is if the police came to her and said, dude, we found a sheath in between two of the victims and no knife in it. So
I don't know how much law enforcement talks to the coroner, especially like, I don't know how soon
they'd have to know the paperwork. They have to,
right, but I don't know how soon that would happen. As far as
they were together, like they were all there together. They can't move the bodies without it. So essentially, Kathy should have been standing right there when they were removed. I mean, she should have been physically present.
Yeah,
she would have seen it. But she said that toxicology wouldn't be important. Not to mention, we were talking about this 8 hour
is important.
This 8 hour delay is a long delay. But on top of that 8 hour delay, police are finally called. They're all there. Nobody shows up. I literally, when I was transferring everything over to OneNote, at 3 p.m., a reporter posted a photo from standing right there and an update. I have the link to it, but I've taken many screenshots because things have disappeared. But they said, one police officer here, the house is taped off, but like there's no other activity. It's been dead quiet. This was at 3 p.m. Wait a minute. Let me not lie to you. I want to say it was 3. It might have been 3:30. It was 3 p.m. Only one Moscow police car is on the property. It is blocked off with tape, no other activity. And it's a photo of just one Moscow police officer in the parking lot. So that's now 3 hours have passed. There's only one officer there. Payne doesn't show up. Payne and Blaker don't show up till 4. So now that's 4 hours. So now we're at 12 hours. And the coroner doesn't show up until 5:30. So now we're at 13 hours. So there was like a long delay. And I've briefly like messed around with this. The only reason I don't like honing in on and discussing the way that it was handled in that first few hours, how everybody was kind of like, no, everybody's safe. Like it was targeted. There's no rush to get there. We don't think that Pullman is unsafe, just the way that but it's a very sad and likely offensive and probably traumatizing conversation to have. But like I have feelings about all of that would make it make sense, but it would be really sad and terrible. And so I don't like to focus on like that first couple of hours. But I wonder, and the only reason I bring this up is because, and I'll explain why, I wonder if it was if they initially thought that it was a different kind of scenario. Is it possible?
Okay.
Yeah, is it possible that shit got contaminated when we didn't think this was going to be something that we
Had to
were gonna-
investigate. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I hate to even, it makes me sick to even think that, but I'm like, it was so like blase blah. And the problem is once you fuck it up, like you've done fucked it up. It's fucked up. You can't ever,
you can't get that
ever
stuff
make
back.
it the way that it was when you found it.
Nope.
Exactly. And yeah, like they wouldn't have been trained on that, and just the way things sound, it wasn't done professionally.
And who cares?
Yeah, sure.
Like it's not bad to not be experienced in.
No.
You know what I mean?
Got to start somewhere, 100%.
So, I don't know. I don't even, if things got really messed up, I'm not even like all the way thinking that it was like on purpose. But at the same time, just because you don't know doesn't like make it okay.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Or maybe it wasn't done on purpose, but, you know, since they saw that they messed up somewhere, they had to just continue to go on and pile on.
Right. Instead of just admitting, hey,
right,
we did something
so
wrong.
say, oh shit, you know, maybe we misspoken, or, you know, we need more time to investigate or something, but, you know, to just not own up to it. And it just seems more plausible that that's what happened, was like, oh, well, we fucked up somewhere, or, you know, they caught it, but we're too far in. It was like, hey, we got to continue this because it's going to be all of our asses, you know?
Yeah.
Like Debbie Collier, like the whole world was told that she was killed. Like she was holding onto a tree in the middle of like burned. Like it was some shit from like True Detective. Like I had no problems being like, oh my God, there's like a crazy murderer on the loose. And then they come back like months later and they're like, it was a suicide. And we're like, what the fuck? Like, in no world am I believing that was a suicide. And you have to remember, like looking back at those crime scene photos, there was like gloves hanging from the trees, like things still left in the floor, and it just really weird. I can't let Sergeant Friday up because it's saying that there is no device connected. That's what everybody back here is saying. No device. It says device is not connected. But I'm just, I can't imagine. I can't wrap my head around these 3 officers discovering 4 people inside this house and still be 3 hours later waiting for other people to show up. That doesn't make any sense, especially when nothing happens there.
Yeah, if anything, you think it'd pop off because this is the event that they're all waiting for, you know, and everyone in the station would show up, you know.
Yeah.
Especially during the daytime, there wouldn't be much going on, so.
Yeah, not yet. Well, there was like drug calls before. Like, if you look at what surrounded this call, it was drug calls and like calls for the dog.
Sergeant Friday, yeah, there he is. Okay.
Immediately before and after. Sergeant Friday, you should be working now. We're not going to be here any longer. I literally said I was going to end the stream an hour ago.
Yeah, it's way past my bedtime.
I know, I'm quite impressed.
Well, I'd like to just give people some food for thought.
Yeah.
First of all, because of Bryan's profession and what he was doing, I can make the point, and I think it's a valid point, that any of the people in Idaho or Washington that were involved in testing that sheaf originally potentially had open contact with Bryan Kohberger, either directly, indirectly, a 100%. Cafeteria in his class. Okay, now let's just be clear here. That lab tested that sheaf and said there was no DNA. It was then handled again and packaged and sent off to another lab. Okay. That lab then found DNA that they could not identify, and they sent it to the FBI. And the FBI has given us information that all the work they did on that sheaf or that sample of DNA is not recorded.
and they don't even want to provide.
Well,
They
here's
don't
why.
even want to. They don't even want to give the chain of custody forms from
Correct.
ISP to the private lab.
Because the FBI's work is not judicially authorized. It cannot be used in a court of law, nor can it be used in a warrant. It's off the book work. It's a tip. You understand? They're going to circumnavigating the law when the FBI got that sample. They're not committing a crime, but they're circumnavigating the constitutional right of the people involved. So
dang, I forgot about that part. You're right.
Now step forward again. The FBI also stated, and this just folks, so you know, I don't care about innocent or guilt. I care about, are they doing the procedures that got somebody arrested legitimately? I don't know whether the guy did it or not. I don't care. All I want to know is all the facts that we've been given tell us that the PCA is deficient in probable cause, because in Idaho, probable cause must provide a substantial amount of evidence to indicate that the accused likely committed the crime.
Yeah.
And when you're using a DNA sample that's not admissible in court, and a DNA sample, the FBI has you sign an NDA for it because they tell you not to use it in your warrant applications, you don't have DNA in a PCA. What are you left with?
True.
Pictures of a white car with no ID of a black passenger, a white passenger, 4 passengers, or 1, and you're left with phone pings that they then tell you lasted for 5 months in that area, that the media then interpreted to be stalking, that then we then found out through defense motions there's no connection to him, no electronic connection. Nobody's ever seen this guy before. You can't prove he's a stalker. You can't prove he was at that house. And that whole PCA is going to be destroyed in the appeal on the indictment.
And it's too bad that we can't see what they indicted him on for the grand jury, because that's so secret.
Don't you find it a little coincidental they had a probable cause hearing which focuses only on the state and government's actions to charge you? They nixed it by going around his back.
Exactly.
They got a secret warrant or a secret indictment, and now he's challenging the indictment. And every single question his lawyer is asking is consistent with everything I'm sharing with you. Everything.
100%.
Ann Smith is doing. Ann Taylor, I'm sorry.
He needs to know those.
So step back now. Take Bryan Kohberger out of the package. Bryan Kohberger's got nothing to do with this. That knife sheath has got, maybe the weapon that was used doesn't even fit the knife sheath.
Right.
The knife sheath was found under her. Maybe it was her weapon of defense that got taken. You could talk ad nauseum about this shit, but just erase it from your head. What are you left with? You're left with a crime scene where one of the people in the home admits to being there before, during, after, finds the bodies and calls the police. There's your suspect right there. There's the suspect for the killings or involvement in the killings, and that suspect's name is Dylan Morrison.
And if you want to add another one, if they're not the same person, everybody wants to say that it's not the same person, except for me. I'm willing to think that it was him. But
your chat room loves me, by the way.
If you're, I see that.
Almost
I wish
as much as you, and I don't look nowhere near as good as you do.
You'll have to come back. You'll have to come up like way earlier next time. I
tried.
I've been trying to leave. I get caught up in these conversations because I get.
I'm the slow and steady kind of guy. Steve. You just can't use me up quick and throw me out the door.
I hate that. I hate that. But I was like, I'm thinking, okay, so if it was another person, so if you're saying that the DoorDash driver is their own individual person, there's you another suspect.
There's a coincidence though.
I don't.
In my view of events, that DoorDash driver is the worst coincidence on earth, because whatever happened to the 2 girls upstairs, when that person came downstairs, they were confronted by the person taking delivery of the DoorDash. Those people are victims not because they were part of a target. Those people were victims because they happened to be out in the hallway when that person came through, or happened to see that person coming down them stairs and retreated. And when they retreated, that person had to follow them and do what they did. That's what I think happened to the 2 people in the front, the young man and the young woman. I don't think they were targeted. That DoorDash is crucial in as much as it puts those people coming out of their room at 4 o'clock or thereabouts.
But was it Xana's? It was Xana's DoorDash. So isn't it possible that there's someone here, could have been Kaylee, and her and Maddie started walking down the steps, saw this person, tried to turn around real quick, go back to the same bedroom.
Possible, but then you got 4 people to contend with. You need multiple killers, which is possible because there's 3 sources of DNA unconnected to Bryan Kohberger.
Right.
But here's what I'm saying, though. All of this stuff leads us to whether someone's innocent or guilty. Let's go back to the beginning. My point is, if we focus on all that we can focus on, we really can't even get to innocent or guilt. We have to get past the fact that what the government did in this case was use unlawfully obtained DNA, tried to convert it as a tip, tried to get it protected custody as a tip, and then they used it in a PCA that they even told the court before they went for the PCA, don't use it if you don't have to. And what were you going to prove it on? Some cop's suggestion that a criminal typically turns off his phone? That means there's no evidence Bryan turned off his phone to commit a crime. Furthermore, there's no evidence showing that that white car even belongs to Bryan Kohberger. And as a matter of fact, the exculpatory evidence for Bryan is in the PCA when they tell you his phone was off and they couldn't locate him. He could tell you he was on that submarine. You had no idea where he was for an hour and a half. Only Bryan Kohberger's word matters there. You have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that this man not only turned off his phone, but did it with the intent to kill, and that the vehicle you claim to be his is in fact his beyond a reasonable doubt, and the DNA is shit. It can't be used in court because it wasn't supposed to be. You see? That's why I'm interested in this case. Not now, if this guy did it, oh my God, did they screw this case up?
That's what I try to explain is like, regardless of what happened, like imagine he did do this. And this was just so fucked up, so bad. First of all, you would have to hope that you would let him go before trial and him not run or kill somebody else. But you don't want to take him to trial and lose, right?
Yeah.
So,
listen. Someone in the chat room said if there's no front plate, come on. I've got 3 cars with no front plate. So
Xana's car didn't have a front plate.
Listen, they don't understand. Let me tell your chat room a story. I was arrested and charged for burglary, a felony burglary of stealing multiple guns out of an apartment. I, in fact, committed that burglary. Okay, I did it. And the reason they charged me was because they found my fingerprints on the hinges of this guy's door. The effed up thing about this guy's apartment was his hinges faced the outside. Okay, and I pulled the pins and went in and stole his guns. Came out, put the door back in place, put the pins in and left and sold those guns. But I was also the maintenance man that just painted that hallway. Therefore, my fingerprints have a completely explainable reason to be on those hinges. They never indicted me for that crime. You have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that that car belongs to Bryan Kohberger, and because there's no front plate means nothing. That's not evidence of anything. Nor is the cop stating, it's my opinion based on my experience, criminals turn off their phones before they commit a crime. As true as that may be, you must prove that Bryan Kohberger, in fact, did that. That's funny. What this is about. It's about proving your accusations against an alleged murderer. And I'm sorry, you don't have.
They don't got it.
What they should have done, folks, is taken the DNA from the FBI. The FBI told them was a tip not to use it in a warrant. Taking the video of the car, taking the phone pings, finding out that a car like that belongs to a guy. He wasn't in the area. They should have then either brought him in, swabbed his car door handles, went to school, talked to his teacher, swabbed his desk, swabbed his apartment door handle, brought him in, asked him for a swab. You see, he's a great suspect. But to accuse of the murders on the information you're providing, come on, you got to have your head up your butt. That's why I got involved in. That's my first foray into true crime. I used to do politics, but it's amazing at how little they have against this guy. And then when you look at the motions of the defense, it crushes the prosecution's case completely. Just like my case crushed it. The guy was a maintenance man. He painted that hallway. Aren't his fingerprints supposed to be there? Yeah, they are.
It has been more that way. Like, but generally I read both of them and I'm like, and I feel like it's probably a good thing, although sometimes it makes me confused. But when it's confusing, I'm just like, it could be one or the other. I don't really know. But when I read like the prosecution's different things that they've put out, and I read the defense's things, generally until this motion for a protective order and then this objection, I'm like, oh, they got a really good point. And then like Ann will send something through and I'm like, oh shit, she's got a really good point too. So I really don't know what the answer is. But then like this one, and like I saw that one, I saw the motion for the protective order and I was like, why? I had this overwhelming, like, why did he do that? Why did he just say all of that? Why did he do that? And sure enough, even though people seem to think that like the defense one day woke up and was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to put this objection in for literally no reason. I'm going to tell the whole world that there is no connection and there's no DNA. Because I think that people are getting a little suspicious that maybe he did it. Like that didn't happen.
The only DNA on the sheath was Bryan's, but it's transfer DNA. So that if you go to a gas pump later on tonight, you pump gas and walk away, and somebody comes by and picks up that gas pump handle, that DNA is on you. You shed 500 million DNA, microscopic DNA particles. A human being looks like pig pen microscopically when you move around. You're losing 5,700 skin cells a second. Okay.
Don't go down that rabbit hole.
And so when you move, transfer DNA could be moved around by anybody. It could be moved by a third party. As a matter of fact, your DNA, I guarantee you right now, is in places that you've never been. You went to a store,
100%.
You picked up someone's DNA and brought it to your house.
Random people's
never
DNA
been in your house.
100%. It's so gross. It's so fucking gross.
I know, man, when you think about it. But let me just say something else, too. This is kind of scary. Not to be a conspiracy theorist, but that's exactly why they wanted you 6 feet apart, because you can't create herd immunity if you stay 6 feet apart, because your DNA will not intermingle and it will not be educated. You as a human being, as a biological creature, share DNA amongst yourself, and it's a product of who you are. It's a product of how humanity lives. It's a product of how humanity creates herd immunity. You see, that's a natural aspect of life. You shed all those skin cells for a reason, and that reason is for your DNA to intermix amongst people you don't know.
Yeah.
Right.
Dude,
so in this
gross.
case, throw everything out on Bryan and start looking at this crime scene and ask yourself, forget no Bryan Kohberger. The sheath doesn't even hold a knife that would fit, as far as we know. As far as we know, the murder weapon had nothing to do with the sheath. Right. So forget the transfer DNA, because that could get, there's a million ways for reasonable doubt to present that, and look at what you have left. And it's my contention that the people involved in that crime were in that house before, during, and after the crime. Others may have come in. I'm not saying others aren't involved, but I'm telling you right now, I can't imagine a situation where Dylan Morrison is not part of this crime.
I want to say two things. I want to address two different things, because I saw two things come through in the chat, and if I don't, I'll forget. But additionally, what does this mean? This person said, I like scorched earth sleuthy live streams. What does that mean?
I don't know, probably referring to my intense tirade of bullshit that I put out, which is based all in fact, though.
I enjoyed it. Keep going, baby. Keep going.
I don't know what it is either. But then, so I saw two different things. I saw one say, let's not do the COVID thing, which I get. Let's not do the COVID thing.
Yeah, no, I just want to give people an example of what the 6 foot barrier, what it prevents. It prevents you from your DNA getting on other people. That's what it prevents. Not you cough on somebody.
That is
person you coughed on that didn't slap you one.
That's a bare minimum. I'm here to tell you that if you really were interested and you were like, let me look this up. Like, is it true what Sergeant Friday said, that I have people's DNA on me right now? Like, I'm going to look it up. And you start looking it up. It is disgusting. You are going to be paranoid.
You'll become a germaphobe. Yeah.
You will. See, I can 100% see how people become germaphobes.
Here's my conspiracy.
You'll be the opposite of hoarder.
My conspiracy theory is the government is going to try to latch onto this transfer DNA and convict this guy so that they can use it in other cases. And they're going to try to legitimize the FBI's actions that the FBI specifically said shouldn't be used in a warrant application or a court of law, which was then confirmed by that woman, Diane or Debbie, whatever her name is, when she applied for the warrant and said that if you can approve it without the DNA, that would be a good idea, because somewhere down the road in another court, it might be held inadmissible. They said it in their application.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Now you know why.
Yeah, they're working with each other.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
you scratch my back, I scratch yours.
And that's bad for you and I. It's bad for civil rights. I mean,
100%. And that's what I'm saying is, not only are we stressing about what we're seeing the authority do, but they're ruining a young man's future that had a bright future. And, just to think that he's not the only one that has gone through this, is going through this, will go through this.
Yeah.
And the fact that it's just so easy for them to do and get away with is absurd.
And I think that people get stuck to where they can't carry out this conversation the rest of the way, because they feel like if they carry the conversation with you and they agree with you because it really makes sense, then they're in some way like, and it doesn't help when idiots say this to people, but they feel like in some way they're like going against the victims. Like they're personally harming the victims because they are having discussions that might say that Bryan Kohberger is not innocent or not guilty. But like my whole thing is again, like you said, let's take guilt or innocence completely out of the equation. Let's take Bryan Kohberger out of the equation. We are talking about things that should be understood.
We've been shamed to avoid victim shaming the two young girls. And listen,
100%.
I can't even imagine what experiences they have, but it's not for me to imagine. What's happened here is a crime, and so what it is for me to imagine is to take the facts in order and look at them, right? As a person, as an American, And when you do that, there's so many irregularities and unanswerable questions and actions that just don't fit, that you have to stop and ask yourself, what's going on here? Are they just trying to throw this guy into the wolves because they need to shut this down to keep their enrollment up? I don't know. That's conspiracies. But when you get down to the application for the PCA and you get down to the actual information being used and the responses from his lawyers completely contradict every argument the media gave you. He's an incel. He's a stalker. He was following around on Facebook and social media.
Yeah.
And that's all untrue.
That just shows you the biasness of them. And so
And
they
people
must
are
be getting
lazy.
something.
People don't want, they want people to, we've been trained to let others think for us.
Want to
And
be
we're the
spoon-fed.
abnormal people. We're the abnorms because we decided, wait a minute, I'm sorry, but that shit is blue. It ain't green. But everybody says it's green because they were told it was green. I don't live like that.
Hey, Sergeant Friday.
It's
You know
difficult.
why? It's because we're the last of the dying breed that actually had to look up in encyclopedias and thesauruses and stuff, and not have Google just tell us exactly what the answer is or what we should be thinking or all this stuff. And so that's why I think critical thinking is also something that we're losing as a society. We don't have the people who think about things critically, what could happen. It's short-sightedness. And
we've become accustomed to we do groupthink, and we've become accustomed. Like, here's something I want to say, and this is the most important thing I ever say. I never say anything more intelligent and anything that means more than these few words. The only way to learn is to be wrong. Period.
100%.
That is I coined this phrase years ago when I was doing the politics, which I will not bring up again. The only way to learn is to be wrong. You are not born with the knowledge to tie your shoe. You must be wrong. And it's in the pursuit of correcting that wrong or trying to understand that wrong that you become educated. And the last thing I'll say is this.
100%.
The lie will travel the globe multiple times before the truth has a second to tie his own damn shoes. Institutions with books in the billions. Trillions and trillions of words are written about the truth, and yet the lie can be 2 letters, N-O, and they need no.
What? Are you a professor by any chance?
No, I'm an independent guy.
No, he's just an intelligent guy.
I was homeless at 14 and made my way through life, and I can't tell you how many court cases I beat for other convicted people and myself, because the law is the law. Perspective is everything. The media and all of these other talking heads that kiss the butt of the media are pushing a perspective on the public, and the public accepts that perspective and marches on. People like us will accept a perspective when it's based on reasonably thought out fact.
For sure.
And if it's not, then we question it. That's because we understand unconsciously that being wrong is the only way to learn. You have to be concerned. When you're not concerned, you don't feel it's not a bad thing. If someone proves that chief is in on it, then I'm wrong. And I'm glad I was taught something.
Exactly.
I'm not saying Kohberger is innocent or guilty. I'm nowhere even near that. Is the state wrong in how they handled the FBI data? I believe constitutionally, yes. That's what the appeal to the indictment should turn over. It should show that the process the government used to charge Mr. Kohberger was
exactly.
And that's why they paid so much money towards those consultations to those corporations, and also said that, hey, we're going to protect you.
Here's the other thing she's asking, and I'll end with this so you can get your show over, is that if you look at the motions she's filed, she wants to know the background of every single lab worker and people that touch that evidence, because I'm telling you, the reason is because she's going to try to establish a casual contact between Bryan Kohberger and any one of them, whether it be their girlfriend, their son, their student is in his class and they work at the Idaho lab, or that's what's going to happen. There's a cafeteria shared between the forensics department and the criminology department. Does the criminology department interact with forensics? I'm sure they do. And that's where I think she's asking for their educational background. Where do they go to school? Who do they?
Yeah. She's definitely setting up a background for everybody so that she can just say, okay, Bryan, do you know this person? Is there any chance you could have come in contact with this person? Have you ever sat in a classroom? Been in a seminar?
She's setting the dots up so that she can connect them later.
Yeah. What if the students may have had a father that worked or a mother that worked at the lab that did the testing? That would be enough to be transfer DNA.
Yeah.
You think?
Yeah.
I don't think she's looking at it to argue the validity of the results.
Yeah.
I think she's looking at these people to argue the connection between Bryan and the DNA. to explain that. And she doesn't have to do
That
that.
makes more sense.
Yeah,
And
I
I
think that's her
still
best.
think,
I'm glad you said
the
that.
Brent guy is, I still think that needs to be brought into things and discussed at some point.
Brent?
Absolutely.
The
I'm gonna
Brent
take
guy
off.
that from Pullman.
I mean, I feel like regardless, I would like to know like what happened with him. I don't
Mhm.
understand. I mean,
100%.
even totally separate from this, like I would not want that to have gone down the way that it did if it was my brother. So I just need to understand. And again, I don't think there's anything wrong with needing to understand. I don't think it's an invasion of privacy.
Mm.
If we could be killed by the police, then we should know exactly what happened. And I'm
I feel like this guy in that regards anyway, as far as being shot by SWAT, I think it might have been more of suicide by cop in his situation, but I don't know since they haven't released the records yet. I put in a FOIA
well,
request.
why would that take like 8 months to
It's
figure out?
An
I mean,
officer involved shooting
not-
investigation takes a while, a long time. It has to go through the what state? It was Washington. So the Washington State, what the
Patrol.
WBI they would call it.
It's Washington State Patrol. They're the ones that
Yeah.
and they originally said it would be out in May. And that didn't happen. But my whole thing is at one point, well, see, I don't even know. I don't know if that audio is true or not. But at one point in the audio, I did hear them say something to the effect, and I'm not quoting, but it was something to the effect of that they were in the hallway. He came out. They spoke to him. He said he wasn't going to come back out, and then he went back in the room. And I just immediately thought, like, wouldn't that have been a good opportunity to like have taken him at that point? But I don't want to
rushed
get
in right after him.
Yeah, I don't want to get
Mhm.
too much into him, but
Yeah.
I'm super interested that you had said that, Sergeant Friday, because I hadn't really thought about that in terms of I thought, why are they being petty? Obviously, it would be important for him to know the qualifications of these people, how many times there has been cross-contamination in that lab, the chain of custody forms, like all of that seems really normal to me. But now I could see why the state would maybe not want to provide that. And
Right.
it has nothing to do with
Yeah,
like
he brought up a great
contamination, but
The
Yeah.
guy's a criminologist, and we've been told to think that means he went to school to become a mass murderer.
Yeah.
Just imagine this guy. Take him outside of that. Take the background away. What are you left with? You're left with a guy that went to school. Well, he was fat. He had drug issues. It became somewhat popular in high school, according to the honest people that have talked about him. He got into college. He's working his way for a PhD. He's a teacher's assistant that's got good recommendations. He drives around Pullman. They've given us this evidence. He's driven around Pullman many, many times, and Moscow, and he's gone into their
We've
stores.
seen his,
It's
we've
so
seen his
things that
interactions with
over and
police.
over again, right?
right.
Yet all that information proves he's a killer. Why is that used against an American citizen? That should say that this guy looks like a pretty upstanding citizen. Let's treat him as a suspect.
Well, because they're not using that evidence. They're not using that. The whole reason that a lot of people are so convinced that he did this is because
They're biased.
it's been
Exposure.
spewed everywhere that he was stalking them, that
Right,
he's a
and-
creep, that he made his date in 2015 throw up to get him to leave. Like
But we're
those,
smart enough to know that's fake.
and that's
Right, and they're
that's
just
what-
trying to make people make their judgment before the trial, so that way
Propaganda.
that
Perspective.
the majority of people already have their mindset on what this guy is like, or painted with, and
Right.
so
that's so crazy to me, though. That is so
I could
crazy.
see someone being dropped off by Bryan Kohberger that he waited for.
Mhm.
And the person
Yep,
went
I
in and
have
committed
that
this crime
100%.
unbeknownst to him, and he's like, "Oh my god!" He screams.
And maybe that's why he asked, "Is there anyone else?" It's because he's like, "Hey, it's not me. I dropped off somebody," and maybe he's
Right.
giving them names.
Yeah,
Well,
but
that's
and
what
then-
I'm
and
saying,
that-
get over the hurdle. Can they get the hurdle over? Can they get their horse over the high bar there that says that the probable cause was adequate? I don't think they can.
No, I mean, I bet you it's going to go through because how corrupt it is. But again, that's just
No,
going to
no,
show
I
you
think
that they can
Sleuthie
do
is the
it.
one that put me onto this. So thank you, Sleuthie. Here's what she said to me, and I know this is true. That the judge signed off on that without
Yes.
an exact review or hearing.
Yes.
So as a
And-
normal course of duties during the day, it was just, another document. Oh, this is about
Right.
that. You think you got the right guy? You think, okay, I'll sign this.
And how you know that,
Yeah.
and here's another reason why I think that way, is because, again, you have 2 probable cause affidavits written by the same or two different people, two different officers, but they're wholly the same. There's like a couple extra pages on Blaker's, and they provided to two different judges in two different states. Okay, one judge believes, based off of what they read in that affidavit, was that, let me get you the time frames because I'm looking right at it.
Yeah, lazy, not corrupt.
So at the following day, when they start talking about the following day, from 5:32 to 5:36 p.m., which is the last pings of his phone, like ever. And then it says that it stops reporting to the network from 5:36 to 8:30. That's 3 hours. That's a 3-hour time. So either he was in Johnson, Idaho, getting rid of stuff, or he was in Johnson, Washington, getting rid of stuff, because that's what you're implying. But my point is that one judge read the affidavit and said, "Oh shit, he was in Johnson, Idaho from 5:32 to 5:36 p.m. Okay, signing off." The other one in another state said, "Oh, he was in Johnson, Washington from 5:32 to 5:36. Okay, signing off." So this man is in two different places in two different states at the same
interdimensional being.
And that's why I don't believe that there's any nefarious targeting of this guy. I don't think anybody planted anything. I honestly think that there's a high probability that happenstance put this guy inside this horrific storm of events, right? And or if not, if he belongs in there, then God forbid if what we're seeing in the PCA application is as bad as it looks, that this guy's going to, we'll never know, because if the appeal destroys this indictment, then we're never going to know, because these cops are not going to keep looking. Never. They're going to run around saying he did. Like they did with OJ. He did it.
And to the person in chat that was asking about Brent and why he was shot and things, without getting, you can look it up if you want to. It was in Pullman, Washington, on December, I believe it was 12th, 2022, and it was a hostage situation with some roommates. He had an apartment which was not even a half a mile, like 0.2 miles away from Kohberger's apartment, and he basically held them as that hostage, saying he was going to murder them and things like that. He had PTSD. He suffered with that and kind of just had one of those days, and so that's kind of what ended up happening.
But is that though what happened? Is that what happened? How many other episodes had Brent Kopacka had in the past?
Mm-hmm.
And on
They
top
said
of that,
none.
There's been none.
And his friend said that he was nothing but an innocent, lovely guy, give his shirt off his back and everything. So which one is he? Is what I'm asking.
Well,
right, and I looked into that whole thing, and he's been treated for for PTSD for quite some years now, and it only seemed to be within the past probably around the time of the murders up until December, when he was also shot, that he really started acting out a lot more, and things. Something was stressing him out. Something was really stressing him out a lot more than normal, causing him to react the way he did. So I think it. I don't know. In my opinion, everything that I've seen, the facts I've looked at, I feel like that has a little bit to do with what happened in Idaho as well. The connections are just too hard to ignore. The friendship with Bryan Kohberger and him, and the fact that this guy, he was a collector of knives. He really liked knives.
And a military background.
Right. Mm-hmm.
I still think, regardless, I just still think, regardless, that there should be. I think there should be protocol that goes above and beyond. Until I see that, until I see the report that comes from this, and I understand the above and beyond things that were done in order to try to avoid shooting him, especially if you had an inclination that was what he wanted.
Mm-hmm.
I would need to see that. I would need to know exactly what all things were tried before you shot my brother.
Yeah, where was it non-lethal?
Yeah, if the apartment was clear, if
you could have gassed him.
Yeah, I want to know what else was done. That's what I want to know.
There's always we call them the armchair quarterbacks of making the decisions and things like that. of what you should have done there, and we won't know until we get all the facts, till they release everything. But if bottom line is, if the guy was threatening to kill the any members of the SWAT team or anyone that was around him, and then he even slightly moved, raised a weapon that he may or may not have had, and aimed it at SWAT, that pretty much gives them the green light to just go. And that's what happens, unfortunately.
I don't think you even have to
100%,
name
but
it an
shouldn't that be
officer to be
changed?
shot. You just have to display a gun and not respond to the command,
Right.
drop it, and you can be shot.
100%. That's what I'm saying. Things need to be changed. There needs to be, levels of escalation. Obviously, you got to be able to. You got to try this before you go on the next one, right?
Like,
I do think
listen, someone's standing at a door with a shotgun, and you're supposed to be the people to detain them.
No, I know it's circumstantial, I should say, but you know what I mean. That's if you're having a SWAT team there, you have multiple members.
It's business.
Someone has to, have some form of.
Man, that guy's got a family to go home to and everything, and look at him.
I know, 100%. He also has body armor. He has a shield. You know what I mean?
Well, he doesn't have body armor on his head or places like that, and you never know what's going to happen.
The best thing to do is never display a gun to a policeman.
Right.
No, 100%. You know what the end outcome is supposed to be.
It's weird to me that, like, I saw when it was happening, like when I was, so they were on Reddit, like people that live around there were on Reddit, like live posting as it was happening. Like, did anybody else just get woken up by this or that? And all I just heard shots, like that was on the Pullman subreddit. And so I'm like reading through these, and like people essentially were waking up because they had heard like gunshots and stuff. And they're like, did anybody else hear that? And everybody was trying to pinpoint kind of where it was. And then someone was like, oh, they evacuated this apartment complex and all. But like, of all those people, nobody knew who the roommates were, who he was. Nobody had any pictures. I have in this, in the OneNote that I'll share eventually, 2 pictures of that night, like at all. And it's like a group of people that were standing outside. But other than that, nobody knows nothing about it. Nobody knows, like, not even just particulars, but nobody happened to get like all the officers that were there, like swarming the place. Nobody got any pictures or videos of that. It was very bizarre. And I get that you're not supposed to like point a gun at law enforcement, but I'm sorry. And this may be a particular, I try to be aware of my bias. So for instance, when it comes to like little bitty children that are the size of my son, generally I could never be on a jury for that, because I already know, like whoever is accused of hurting this child, this baby that makes me think of my son, I just naturally, I can't. So I avoid it. Like, I can't get past it. I know that I'm not neutral in that situation. So maybe this is a little bit of a bias because of my brother. And I just feel like, regardless of whether he had a gun and was pointing it or not, I feel like something additional should have been done to safely get him out and get him some help. That's my personal opinion. Right. I think that after 8 hours, yeah.
See, I have Asperger's, so I see a lot of things without the grays, and that's not always the right. It's not always the right answer, obviously. Right?
It's not, but you know what I mean. If
I'm like Clint Eastwood, man.
We're looking at it hindsight, you know.
Yeah.
Like, especially if he had a history of that. Like, you got to think they brought in a negotiator, right? So you have to think that this person would have been calling his parents, would have been calling other family members, would have been, if he had been seeing a doctor for PTSD, would have been trying to get a hold of whatever therapist he was seeing, whatever place he was going to for treatment of some kind, or classes, or whatever the case may be. And so
I think it came down to him just not just kind of not exactly ignoring their orders, but him just making any kind of motion with that weapon that he had, and he had already threatened to shoot whoever showed up. He said, if any cops show up, I'm going to shoot them. He didn't want anybody involved.
But they were there for 8 hours. I mean, they were there.
Yeah.
supposedly, if you're going to believe the audio, the roommates were like allowed to just walk out. There was
Right.
people hours later that were like, okay, now we would like to probably be evacuated. Can someone please help us get out? And then like they're bringing them out too, and it's like it's he wasn't like holding them hostage.
I mean,
Right.
that's why you have dogs. You know what I mean?
Right.
Send them in
Well,
there.
he wanted to tell somebody something. He wanted to tell something, and he didn't have a chance.
You guys
Maybe
know
he did,
suicide by cop. You guys have heard that
Yeah.
before too, right? So,
Oh,
Yeah.
100%. Yeah.
we don't have any camera
'Cause
footage
it's
of
a
what went down
guarantee.
and what
It's-
prompted that last shot to take him down. I mean, we don't know exactly the circumstances.
Right.
That right. So that's
Yeah,
kind
there's
of
no
tough.
video.
There's going to be an investigation into that
Where
officer.
were the
because he fired a
reporters,
gun.
dude?
100%.
Dude, there were
They
reporters
went
all
and
over.
they got paid off.
All
They
the
didn't-
reporters
I
that
didn't hear
were
it.
in Moscow, where were they when that was happening?
That's what I'm saying. I didn't hear it. They all got paid off. That's
Yeah.
what I'm saying. Like I
Well,
didn't
the whole
hear
town is
anything.
looking. I looked up that university as well as Washington State University are surrounded by drug cartels. And
Yeah.
anybody that doesn't want to believe that, then don't believe it. But go look it up yourself.
Oh yeah.
That
People
open
think that
border,
drug cartels are just in
every
movies.
single place you want to send your kid to
That's
school,
why
I don't
they
care
have
where you
money in
send
the-
your kid to school,
the
there's a
police.
drug cartel adjacent to that school. Okay? That's what your higher education is exposing your children to all over the United
Yep.
States. It's a reality people don't want to
That's
accept.
why
They
they-
don't want to deal with. They think they keep it buried. It isn't real. It's 100% real. That open border is a tragedy of death. Whether it be
And how do
kids
you
being
think-
raped and sold into sex trafficking, people being killed, those coyotes bringing them across and turning them into sex slaves, drug dealers coming around your schools. That's exactly the toilet that we've opened up. It's not, there's a lot of great people down south of that border. Amazing human beings are as good as anybody else
100%.
in the world. But the drug and the crime that gets pushed through there is so tragic. It's not even, and it doesn't get discussed. We're racist if we point out the facts. But look up Idaho drug cartels and tell me that I'm wrong, and you'll find out that I'm not.
Yeah.
One topic that I could go off on,
Yeah,
but not with Idaho.
I want to say good night. I do want to go bed.
Southern Friday.
I do
Southern
wanna
Friday.
go
One
bed.
thing to bring up real quick.
Real quick.
Kaylee
3 hours
Gonzalez
ago.
being in college or about to be graduating college, getting a Range Rover all by herself. You know how expensive Range Rovers are. How?
Yep.
I was kind of under the impression that from listening,
Even if it's used, how?
Well-
That's 60 to 70,000.
apart from that,
Mhm.
I was for the way that I understood it from like when I listened to her sister and stuff, it almost sounded like when she was like starting this internship. Oh, also, I hope they talked to that guy that she like just started this internship this year, and then he
Extreme
opened
Network.
up GoFundMe. But I almost feel like she negotiated some type of contract where maybe she got a like a sign-on bonus and maybe put that
So
down.
then she'd be making a lot of money because if you think of the monthly payments on that motherfucker plus insurance as a 19, 20-year-old, 21-year-old,
I don't do car
22-year-old,
payments.
come on.
I
That's what I'm saying. I try to pay
Yeah.
my shit off because you're paying triple the amount by the time you're done.
yeah.
Because that's how much you're paying in monthly payments. And then the insurance on top of that, being a 22-year-old or 21-year-old, no. I don't know, many 40-year-olds that can afford that, let alone someone fresh out of college, that's just starting somewhere.
Oftentimes, because loans are so easily given to kids, I got workers, and there's his son bought a
But not in this
beautiful Grand Cherokee.
climate.
He bought a beautiful Grand Cherokee way out of what he should have bought. I told him he shouldn't have bought that. And then he ended up getting in trouble with his credit a year later, and he had it for a year. Is the whole story. But Sleuthy,
Yes.
if you don't love me for my looks, love me for my mind.
I do,
And that
of
goes
course.
for everyone else in here. You all, I'm so glad you let me in here. We've never talked before. I've tried hunting you down on Discord, not to hit on you, but to have serious conversations with you. And this was
Me
enjoyable.
too, dude.
Okay?
Awesome. I appreciate
You
it.
wanna
Cool.
be great?
Well, good night, y'all. It's past my bedtime.
No, me too.
It is mine too. Thank you guys for coming up. We'll
Yeah,
talk.
thank you.
We'll talk again, even if we just talk about everything. I think maybe even now this is kind of something that maybe I need is just kind of talk about maybe everything.
You're not alone.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, everybody. Well, then let's.
Well, I
end it.
appreciate
Well,
you. Thank you.
I appreciate
Love you guys. Have a great night.
Love you, everybody.
Hey.
Have a good night.
Good night.
Let me play my exit thing. I I hope you guys don't hate my rant. And also, I've like never done this open panel thing. It's like way more difficult than people think that it is, trying to have everybody up all at once and shit. And I can't mute you all like I can whenever we're on Twitter Spaces. But thanks for listening to my rants. And this was such a good conversation. I hope you guys enjoyed it too. I think I needed it. I needed it. Nobody blamed the survivors. Again, first of all, I'm not even going to go there. The police, take it up with the police, because they're the ones that put them on the chopping block inside that probable cause affidavit. Sorry to see you go. Good night, everybody. Stick around for the outro that I spent 3 live streams trying to get for you to upload. Love you. Have a good night.